completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
Jamie Ullman here with the refi and debt consolidation magician, Jordan Rosenblum. Google the bagel loan. Jordan, tell me about it.
Well, Jamie, with inflation high, credit card debts all-time highs, let's look at a cash-out refinance on your home. With our bagel loan, we're going to have no title fees. We're going to have no lender fees, no appraisal fees. This will help your overall cash flow mightily. It's the time to do it. Jump on now while you can. We can always refinance when rates drop. Bagel loan all day.
314-442-9570 or Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today.
800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380. Paid for by U.S. Med.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, homeowners, when is the last time you checked your home title? Scammers are targeting your equity with just a single forged document they file at the county. So don't wait until it's too late. Find out if you are already a victim today. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. On this Wednesday, President Trump praised the partisan media on Air Force One when he was coming back from the Middle East. He was pleased that the American press actually covered the Gaza ceasefire in a fair way. The question is, will the media détente with President Trump continue? The answer is no, it will not. The left-wing media has far too much invested in harming Donald Trump to ever stop the bashing. Most of the media chieftains are avowed liberals, and they will continue to loathe the president. However, there is some self-preservation in play. I have it on good authority that CNN talent was told not to criticize the president during the hostage release negotiation story. Even a zealot like CNN's Abby Phillip backed off, suggesting that Barack Obama give Mr. Trump some credit, which the former president did not do. Remember, the Trump hatred only goes so far. Paychecks trump politics, so to speak. Soon the attacks on the president will ramp up again. We all know it. ICE is the Gestapo. Comey is a victim, on and on. But at least Donald Trump got a little relief. Back in a moment. What happens when flu season hits and your medicine cabinet is empty? Don't get caught off guard. All Family Pharmacy makes it simple to prepare. If you want to be proactive with your health, this is the pharmacy for you. Stock up now on Tamiflu, antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, immune support, and much more. Delivered fast with a doctor's prescription included. Visit All Family Pharmacy, one word, allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use promo code BILL to save 10%. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. This morning, temperatures back towards the lower 60s will rise into the mid-80s by the afternoon, partly cloudy. Then into Thursday and Friday, temperatures into the mid-80s, looking dry by Saturday, welcoming some chances of some showers and storms. A few of those could be isolated, strong to severe as we head off into Saturday. That'll clear by Sunday. On the back end of that, going to be tracking cooling temperatures. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Let's get the conversation started, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
AI can do some pretty amazing things, a lot of great things. We've heard about, the advances in medical treatments and diagnostics and things like that. But it can also do some really scary stuff as well. Now, among the good things, of course, is create some pretty kick-ass music. I mean, we had Nick Schroer on the program yesterday. One, we were talking about what's coming up in the new legislative session, and some of that is going to involve how does Missouri law protect you from somebody using AI to abuse you? And we're going to get into that in just a couple of minutes. But it's also Weekend Show's new theme song for Stand and Fight. And got just a little bit of a preview for that here in just a minute. Mike Ferguson, happy Wednesday. Don't forget, speaking of great music, we got Flashback Friday coming up. So be sure to send Jerome your request for this week's Flashback Friday. But here's our conversation with State Senator Nick Schroer, also host of Stand and Fight here on News Talk STL, about what's coming up in the next legislative session, including how to deal with artificial intelligence. Nick, did you decide what you were going to do with that song you sent me last night? I mean, I'm telling you, that's got to be your new theme song.
I think we're going to roll it out. Spotify is cracking down on the use of music. And, I'm a big music guy. I always, holler at you and Jerome, great bumper music. Yep. And it kind of sets the tone for every segment, especially when you're standing and fighting every Sunday from 6 to 8 p.m. You got to have good music, entrance music, and Spotify saying, hey, if you don't have the license for it, you can't do it. So we kind of tapped into what you guys have done. I think a year or so ago, you made your own music using AI, and AI is just growing since then. I put Tim Jones' voice to work, and being the head of the Missouri Freedom Caucus, we utilized our state director, Tim Jones. Not many people know he's got some pipes. Just listen to when he, hollers, it's Friday. So I think we're gonna roll out a new song this Sunday. Or if you want to play, you can play it here now.
I think what we should do is we should, right before we wrap up, I've got a clip to tease it.
Nice.
And then what we should do is once you roll that out, that's got to go up on like the station podcast, man, so people can access that song. Because we did a couple songs on this show, and man, but yours, I got to tell you, I think this is the best one to come out of News Talk yet. I mean, this is a banger, man.
Well, the cool thing, I've kind of dove right in for the past couple of years with AI. First with, pictures, and then different research. My one of the speeches I gave on the Senate floor a couple of years ago was based upon AI. And I said, look, we actually had to do a deep dive because half of the stuff that it came up with 2 years ago, they just made it up. And, trust but verify. But that leads me into what next session is going to look like. We have to get a harness on AI. And look, I love it as much as the next person does. You can grab royalty-free music. You can create some of these videos like you see on my social media, making fun of the Democrats, keeping the government shut down. But at the same time, I've got a clip that I sent to Bill Eigel that it's astonishing. It looks like him. It sounds like him. And it's all based upon a picture. So we need to continue moving the ball when it comes to protecting and harnessing this to make sure it's not harming individuals, but at the same time, protecting free speech as well.
Yeah. And how do you do that? Because, I mean, obviously, every state is dealing with this because there's a couple layers to this. Exactly what you said, the free speech issue versus you got to have some rules of the road, some bumpers there, guardrails somehow. But at the same time, how do you have a regulation on a state by state basis when you've got something that's frankly global?
Yeah. And I know the one big beautiful bill had some language in there detailing once the feds get off their butts and the Democrats actually vote to open the government again, they do have the ability to reign supreme over all of the states when it comes to regulating this stuff. But until then, yes, we're going to have a hodgepodge. About a year ago, myself and former representative, a good friend of mine, Ben Baker, who's now at the USDA, we had a bill that said, look, you can do whatever you want. However, when it comes to utilizing AI, if you're going to go after somebody, if it's going to be satire, at least have a disclosure on there. So, case in point, if Joe Biden was running against Donald Trump and the Biden administration wanted to create some sort of video, and let's face it, we know that the left can't meme.
No,
the left has no sense of humor, but if they did, as long as they put a disclosure on there, letting people know this is artificial intelligence, this is AI, this is satire, whatever, that's fine. And it's very similar to what attorneys do. When you look at these attorney ads, you have those mandated disclosures. if you don't have those disclosures, there's going to be penalties. And I think the Missouri Ethics Commission detailing different elections and the ethics involved in elections and campaigning, they would be, kind of looking over if this is used in a campaign setting. Or talked to Ann Wagner the other day, and there's a big appetite with the federal government to team with the states to tackle, and I hate to even say this, utilizing AI. There are criminals out there utilizing AI. Pictures that people are posting of their kids on social media.
Yep.
People, these criminals, these evil individuals are taking those pictures and making it look like child pornography. So we have to utilize the framework that we have currently in statute, but then adjust it to say, okay, if you're creating this horrible stuff, there are going to be penalties and criminal repercussions as well.
Yeah, because there are things now that the law just doesn't address. You can still allow freedom until you violate somebody's rights, but if we don't have it in the statutes that these are rights that are being violated because we didn't know that the technology was existing ever to do that, so that's just a matter of part of what your job is in the legislature.
Yeah. And looking at this archaic document that the left likes to ignore that was written by 16, 17, 18-year-olds, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all of our founding documents, it's great to see that still applies. Those rights still apply to protect us, to say, look, if it's free speech, that's fine. But if you're treading upon somebody else's rights by utilizing AI, that's where the government can draw the line to protect its people.
All right. And by the way, if you make a music video for this song, you have my complete permission to use my image and put me in the band.
Your current one, though, like the In Shape Mike Ferguson,
yes,
right?
The In Shape
I saw you the other day, and I don't know if you're on HGH or what. You're looking good. Yeah, I mean, you might be tapped, especially with that hair, to come in when WWE makes an appearance. I know Randy Orton's going to be retiring soon. Maybe he's going to call you up to be his tag team partner.
I'm in. I'm saying I'm in. And thank you for saying it. Okay, so before we sample, is the title of the song just Stand and Fight? That's it. That's Stand and Fight. It's simple.
It's good advice, especially nowadays on the birthday of Charlie Kirk. Now more than ever do we need to stand and fight to preserve this republic and protect our freedom.
Okay, we're going to give a little bit of a sample of that here in just a couple of minutes before we wrap up, but you can hear that debuted this weekend. I'm telling you, the song rocks in every single way. Okay, let's talk also about Freedom Caucus priorities for the next legislative session. I know people are saying, oh, that's so far away. No, it's not. It's like 5 weeks away, 6 weeks away. So there's a lot of work that's being done right now. So many things got close to the finish line that we might have a chance to get things moved across the finish line. But Nick, you've been around the Capitol long enough. In an election year, people can get really dumb and really weird.
Yeah, especially in light of how the session ended and how the special sessions ended. The Democrats are utilizing, not just in D.C., they're utilizing the nuclear option everywhere, filibustering everything they disagree with. It's kind of like The Office. And Michael Scott says hate speech is everything he hates. That's what the Democrats are doing. They're just filibustering everything that they don't like. And it's resulted in leadership, Cindy O'Loughlin, Tony Luetkemeyer, working with the Freedom Caucus to say, all right, enough's enough. We're going to utilize the rules. We're not breaking the rules. We're not changing the rules. We're utilizing the rules and moving the previous question. So, the Freedom Caucus is implementing a new fighting strategy, not just standing and fighting, but we're implementing a new strategy of breaking down a lot of these subcommittees that we saw as soon as I took the reins as the chairman. We came together this past weekend, spent over 2 hours on a big Zoom meeting, going over all of these priorities. And I'm just going to give you a little hint because we're still finalizing the press release, but there's going to be a couple categories that we, the Freedom Caucus, are taking a stand to make Missouri safe again. Justin Sparks and I, that's our mantra of our reelection campaigns, making Missouri safe again, making Missouri healthy again, detailing things from vaccine mandates to chemicals in our food. And even, I'm going to throw this out there, a lot of people are skeptical on it, but the research is out there. Cloud seeding and chemtrails. We're going to have some discussions on that. Making Missouri secure again with our elections, the ballot tabulators, getting ESG and DEI out of our state. Making Missouri free again with school choice, First Amendment protections, regulatory reform, and last but not least, this is a big one, making Missouri affordable again. The Missouri Freedom Caucus is prioritizing tax cuts, tax reform, and cutting the budget back to pre-pandemic levels of spending.
Yeah, that's here to get that spending. You can't get any of the other stuff without that spending. So yes, Godspeed as you're working on, because we're at a critical mass. We just can't keep we can't afford to keep living like this, even in a low cost area like the Midwest. So, it sounds like this might be the time where there is an appetite for it. So hopefully the election year is leverage to get tax reform and tax cuts, maybe even tax eliminations done. I can only dream, right?
Amen. There's so many areas to focus on with income tax, which I think is akin to slavery or indentured servitude. And then you've got personal property tax, real estate tax, it's theft outright.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many areas that we can focus on giving people a little bit of their money back. And, when the Democrats say, how are we going to make up this revenue? We don't need to. Cut spending. Stop spending in areas where the private sector can take it up.
Yep, exactly. All right, we've teased it enough. Let me do a sample of this new song, Stand and Fight, which you can hear this weekend. But here's just a clip of it, just to get the feel for the new song from Stand and Fight on this weekend's show.
Stand and fight for the land of the free. Stand and fight. No apologies from me. Red, white, and blue will crush the elite. Stand and fight. Together we can be free.
There you go, man. I've been telling you, we're going to have a NewsTalkSTL album out before too long. I love that song.
Dude, I love that idea.
I'm telling you, you said that to me. I played it twice just at home last night because that is, you guys know that's what I love. And it's amazing how well that turned out.
Well, the cool thing is, you utilize some of the AI stuff to generate a song. You put in there the themes that you want, some of the characteristics of the song you're looking for. It generates your lyrics, and you're like, well, I don't really like this, but I at least can see the rhyming framework and everything. So you utilize that as a framework, put your own spin on it, and that's exactly what we did at Stand and Fight. And we ran through like 15 different samples with the music, with the different singers. And that is just kind of like, look, I'm born in 1985. That's when music was great back then. Yep. And I know there are a couple guys coming back, but yeah, just tapping into when music was great, when we didn't care if you were black, white, red, yellow, green, and different. That's where we need to get back to is, look, we're all Americans. We've got these rights that we need to stand and protect. And we've got a future for all of our kids and our grandkids out there to keep in mind. And that's exactly why I'm still in the legislature and on not only one show, but two with St. Charles Patriot Radio and Stand and Fight.
And all of this includes the right to headbang.
Oh, absolutely. Headbang and headbang hard.
All right, I don't know if Nick's going to play the entire song this coming weekend on Stand and Fight, but either way, it's worth checking out. All right, the number here is 314-912-1019 if you want to get involved in any discussion. In the news dump, for instance, coming up here in just a little bit, some Illinois Democrats in between fighting against federal law enforcement and in favor of illegal aliens. They're coming up with new ideas on how to tax you on stuff. Yeah, that's still ahead. Right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone.
Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the new app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere.
Fall rebates are here at Johnson Heating and Cooling. Save up to $600 off your new heating and cooling system. Plus, get a free humidifier when you purchase a complete system. And here's the best part. We're offering up to 0% financing for 60 months. That means you can stay comfortable all winter without breaking the bank. Don't forget our $99 furnace checkup. These incredible offers expire November 30th. Call 636-332-4141 or visit johnson-heatingandcooling.com.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobblers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Hey, Columbo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
Yes, it's been really hot and humid, but fall and winter right around the corner. Tim Jones here to tell you, time to get a hold of Chad Hansen and the gang at Hansen's Tree Service for your home or your business. Grinding, land clearing, green waste recycling, tree consulting, removal, or pruning. The organic mulch from Hansen's a wonderful addition to beautify and spruce up all your landscape beds. They offer substantial volume discounts for bulk orders and emergency tree removal. Just go to hansenstree.com. That's hansenstree.com.
All right, it happened. It happened. Loaded Dice is in the slammer.
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
He's being looked after by the U.S. Marshals. So we knew that this could happen. You know, with Susie Moore, who was in yesterday for Gabe Phifer, we were kind of going, well, I mean, the situation kind of lines up for that, but he is the sheriff. None of us really knew what was going to happen with this because it is such an unusual situation and there are so many moving parts. I mean, I tell you, I have been in the media broadcasting business for coming up on 30 years now. I don't think I've ever covered something like this.
This doesn't seem like the type of story that comes around very often.
No, not at all. So an appeal of that bond revocation is coming. Sheriff Montgomery's lawyers they are planning to appeal that, try to get him out of jail. They say they're not even saying you don't have enough evidence. They say he's innocent. He's innocent. So here's Justin Gelfand, one of Alfred Montgomery's lawyers. This is taken from a KMOV story by David Amalotti.
The sheriff should not be behind bars. That is not fair to the voters that a judge put him behind bars. That's why we're appealing it. We should be able to actually present evidence that we believe will ultimately release him.
St. Louis Sheriff Alfred Montgomery's legal team vowing a swift response after a federal judge ruled to place the 28-year-old elected figure in the custody of the U.S. Marshals.
Since when do you have a defense lawyer begging to put on evidence of actual innocence in a federal criminal courtroom and a prosecutor saying, I don't want to hear evidence of actual innocence? That's not justice.
The defense says it sets a bad precedent and leads to safety concerns.
I cannot be more clear. How wrong is it that somebody who did not commit a crime is now behind bars while he awaits trial?
Okay, so if you're the defense attorney, it's your job to make that argument because a lot of this is being done, obviously, in the public sphere. But this wasn't the trial of Alfred Montgomery. This was a bond hearing for Alfred Montgomery. And essentially what the judge said is, here are all the conditions I could put on you based on what you've done and what you've alleged to have done. I don't think you're going to adhere to any of them. Go with these fine gentlemen.
I mean, yeah, it is the job of the defense to say everything that was just said. And of course, until there's an actual conviction, we can't definitively say. But I think based on what Andrew Bailey has said, based on what the judge has seen, based on the things he's admitted to, it's not just he's not a political prisoner. It's not that they just arrested somebody that was voted for. This guy is a menace to society.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So we are going to have more details for you in the news dump at 6:05. And we're going to go into more depth at 6:20 with David Amalotti from KMOV, who is all over this story. So we're going to bring you everything up to date. You're going to know what's happening by the time you get to work with that. Okay. Let's see here. I got a couple minutes here. Okay. So did you hear about this thing with Alyssa Farah from The View?
Oh,
okay. So here's what happened in December of 2024. They're having one of their squawk sessions and she ends up kind of putting herself out there as far as making a promise. I guess she assumed nobody would remember. Here's part of the frenzy that resulted in her saying this.
My point when I say I'm not going to be apocalyptic, it's not changing a tune. It's not making every single thing a 5-alarm fire. Yeah. If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you for doing it. Yeah. She'll knock it right off my head. But like you have to be able to cheer for wins when they happen and then call out relentlessly the wrongdoing. Well,
okay. So I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day. Well, guess what? She's not wearing the MAGA hat on this show, of course. And she's getting called out. To be fair, to give her credit, she did give Trump the credit on the air, on The View. And she said this earlier this week.
I think everyone should be able to celebrate it. And listen, whether you like Trump or not, I think Steve Witkoff and I think Jared Kushner do deserve credit for this deal. They actually personally met with Hamas. I used to be of the mind we don't negotiate with terrorists, but sometimes the only way to get peace is to sit down with some of the most evil people and try to come up with what we can do to end the bloodshed. So thank God, I pray that this peace holds.
Okay, so I disagree with the part like we should negotiate with terrorists. I do think I think there's one thing you do with terrorists, and that's kill them, because otherwise you legitimize them. But however, that doesn't take away from the fact that the war is at least paused, possibly for a very long time. But she is getting called out saying, hey, here are the receipts. You said you'd wear a MAGA cap on The View for a full show. Where is it?
I want to see it.
She ain't doing it.
No,
she's not doing it. So, but I tried to be as fair as I can. She did turn around and give credit, which had to be gut wrenching for everybody on The View, herself included, for actually saying it. But you know what? Give credit where credit is due. She did say that.
Hey, folks, Jamie Allman here for Newstedter's Fine Jewelry right there at Doherty, Ferry, and Big Bend. WowDiamonds.com. It's Wow Diamonds for a reason. These are beautiful lab-grown diamonds. They are gorgeous. They will blind you when you walk in and see them, but that's a good thing. Great engagement sets, wedding sets, all these beautiful God-created gems, sapphires, rubies, you name it, garnets, and also all the gold you need, and the famous Bull of a Watch. WowDiamonds.com.
JC's Wayback Machine.
You know that emergency broadcast system thing? This is only a test, and then the goofy sounding tone. You know that system did not go off on 9/11? What happened? Also, my day with Regis and Kelly, and 3 separate incidents involving St. Louis area police trying to arrest me. Plus great tunes from the 90s, 80s, and 70s. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. News Talk STL.
This is Elizabeth Kaiser. If you're a self-insured employer with a minimum of 200 plan members, listen up, because we've only got until December 31st. There's $600 billion on the table for you from a historic settlement agreement. Meet Bill Schmaltz.
Thank you, Elizabeth. The program's called Pharmaceutical Industry Overcharging Recovery Program. The money is available. It's already been litigated. You just need to ask for it. I'm going to help you get that money, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples. 200 members on the plan, $840K, 500 members, $2.1 million, 4.2 million with 1,000, and it keeps going up. You can contact me at bill@ecgins.com. The more people you have on your plan, the more recovery money you're entitled to. The money's there. There's nothing you have to do other than fill out paperwork, contact me, bill@ecgins.com, and we'll help you get that. bill@ecgins.com.
That's bill@ecgins.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at News Talk STL.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. There were 4 on Monday and 4 more yesterday. Bodies of hostages returned to Israel by Hamas, although the Israeli military is now saying that one of the bodies returned yesterday is not that of a hostage. The BBC's Hugo Bechega.
One of the 3 identified bodies is of Tamir Nimrodi, whose status was unclear until now. Forensic experts are reportedly investigating whether the 4th body is of a Palestinian. The slow return of the bodies by Hamas has provoked anger in Israel and raised fears that it could derail the ceasefire deal. The Israeli authorities have threatened to delay the reopening of the Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt and restrict the entry of aid as punishment. But the Israeli public broadcaster says that will not happen now that more bodies have been returned.
In all, Israel is awaiting the return of the bodies of 28 deceased captives, and questions have arisen about whether Hamas will follow through on its pledge to disarm. President Trump says it better, or he says the U.S. will do the job. House Speaker Mike Johnson hoping the president will be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize next year.
I'm proud to tell you that together with my friend Speaker Ohana of the Israeli Knesset, the equivalent of our Congress, we're going to embark upon a project together to rally speakers and presidents of parliaments around the world so that we will jointly nominate President Donald J. Trump for next year's Nobel Peace Prize. No one has ever deserved that prize more.
This is day 15 of the government shutdown. A Republican bill to end the shutdown failed again in the Senate last night. 6 alleged narco-terrorists are dead after the U.S. military took out another suspected drug-running boat off the coast of Venezuela. Watching Wall Street, the Dow futures 197 points higher. NASDAQ futures are up 210 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Think about this. Everything precious in the Christian faith came straight through Israel. The promises God made to Abraham, the covenants he established, the law that shows us his character, the prophets who spoke his words, the gospel that transformed the world, all of it, every bit of it came through Israel. In standing with Israel, we celebrate our shared roots and the enduring legacy of God's work through his chosen people. As Christians, we owe an immense debt of gratitude to the Jewish people for their role in preserving and passing down these sacred truths. Through their faithfulness, often in the face of great adversity, they've been instrumental in bringing the knowledge of God to the world. When I support the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, I'm not just helping people in need. I'm honoring those who gave our spiritual foundation. I'm saying thank you to the people who preserved God's word for all of us. Discover the top reasons why Christians all over the world support Israel by visiting ifcj.org. That's IFCJ.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. This morning, temperatures back towards the lower 60s will rise into the mid-80s by the afternoon, partly cloudy. Then into Thursday and Friday, temperatures into the mid-80s, looking dry by Saturday, welcoming some chances of some showers and storms. A few of those could be isolated, strong to severe as we head off into Saturday. That'll clear by Sunday. On the back end of that, going to be tracking cooling temperatures. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area. And I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way. And right now, it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. So no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Phifer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, the sheriff is in jail.
Like actual jail?
Actual jail.
Jail.
It actually happened. That actually happened.
This story is the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever covered something like this. I've covered a lot of really weird things and a lot of intense things in almost 30 years, but I don't know that I've ever covered one like this. Also, Killing will resume in abortion clinics in Missouri any day now. We had another court ruling, and this one did not go our way. And Charlie Kirk is honored at the White House. It is 6:05. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Let's go ahead and get started with the news dump here.
The morning news dump. Are you joking? Is this a joke? Listen, folks, the morning news dump.
Okay, the sheriff is behind bars. Like I said, a federal judge revokes the bond of St. Louis City Sheriff Alfred Montgomery and sends him to jail to await trial. KMOV's David Amilati reports on why the judge made that decision.
The federal judge opting to revoke bond because he says there isn't a way to guarantee Montgomery does not violate bond again. In court Tuesday, it was revealed once placed on bond, the sheriff was combative and not transparent about how many guns he possessed, which he was required to turn over to pretrial services. The U.S. Attorney's Office says Montgomery also used a burner phone to make calls naming witnesses, as revealed in this excerpt from the September 5th recording, where Montgomery says, quote, "Witnesses gotta go. Witnesses definitely gotta go. I don't have to take this expletive. I'm the expletive sheriff. You work for the pleasure of me. I brought you in this expletive. I will move you out of this expletive."
So Sheriff Montgomery is in the custody of the U.S. Marshals right now. His lawyers say they're filing an appeal. The actual trial date has not been set yet, so we don't know how long he's scheduled to be in jail.
Those quotes sound exactly like the phony, weird, mob boss wannabe kind of guy that we were suspecting that he is. That's exactly it. And a judge was right to do this. We were talking about this being a possibility because of that violation. Here we are. And he was likely escorted to jail by his quote unquote employees.
Well, at least out of the courtroom, because they turned him over to the federal marshals
on
this, which actually, when you've got somebody who is in law enforcement or a judge, that the federal marshals, that's kind of their territory to say this person is at risk of you don't want this person is at extra risk if they're in jail. So the federal marshals are going to do this. Both Mayor Kara Spencer and board president Megan Green, who agree on very little, they are both among the other elected officials calling for the sheriff to resign. His defense team is indicating that is not going to happen. They want to fight this thing to the bitter end.
Of course they do.
And we're going to talk to David Amilati right around 6:20 for just a couple of minutes to get the rest of the update on this and figure, because KMOV is all over this story. Okay, abortions can resume in Missouri. That is a result of an appeals court ruling on Tuesday. The Western District Court rejected the Attorney General's office's effort to reinstate some regulations on abortion, regulations that were in effect before the pro-abortion amendment was added to the state constitution last November. So remember, there is a bench trial scheduled on this appeal in January. The judge just basically said, I'm not going to reinstate those before the trial, defaulting essentially to what the new state constitutional amendment says. Now, voters will have another chance to address abortion with the new Amendment 3, which will be decided in 2026. Okay, real quick, 20 years after the ambush of a Missouri State Highway Patrol sergeant, the man convicted of the murder is put to death. Lance Shockley was executed just after 6 p.m. Tuesday in Bonne Terre. He was convicted of killing Sergeant Carl Graham Jr. in 2005, and that's the last time we mention his name or that. So rest in peace, Sergeant Graham. So that's basically where we're going to be at here. All right. Let's see here. Excuse me. So let me go. The man who set the fire to the Pennsylvania governor's mansion. So that, that suspect has pled guilty to all charges.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 36-year-old Cody Balmer pleaded guilty in a Pennsylvania court Tuesday to charges that included attempted murder, aggravated arson, burglary, terrorism, and a number of other offenses as well. Governor Shapiro, him and his family were targeted by this. He spoke with the media Tuesday about the rise in political violence across the country, saying justice was served with this plea.
I think we need real accountability for acts of political violence. And today is real accountability for the violence that came here to Pennsylvania.
So the governor is a Democrat. He and his family also happen to be Jewish, and that fire was set on the Jewish holiday of Passover in the middle of the night. The guy tried to kill the governor.
That was his intent.
Yeah. And so that is put to rest now, but that's, I'm glad to see there was at least some justice. That guy is not getting out of jail for decades. I mean, bottom line. Yeah, he's not getting out of there for a long time. Okay. President Trump honoring the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk on Tuesday by posthumously, obviously, awarding him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. This was after receiving the award on Charlie Kirk's behalf. His wife, Erica Kirk, thanked the president for what had happened.
We're gathered not only to celebrate Charlie's birthday, but to honor a truth that he gave his entire life to defend, and that's freedom.
And Charlie Kirk would have been 32 years old yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
So
oh, wow.
That's
yeah.
why it,
that's right.
That's why it was done, I think, on his birthday.
Makes sense.
All right. They won't stop spending money. They won't stop spending more money than they actually have, as it turns out. So some Illinois lawmakers are looking for new ways to tax you.
Of course.
Of course they are. The assembly went back to work in Springfield on Tuesday. Technically, it's a veto session, but they're also working on other legislation as well. And some Democrats want to bring back the idea to add a statewide tax on ride shares like Uber and Lyft and on all deliveries, including food deliveries like DoorDash and Grubhub.
Of course.
Did I mention that was a statewide tax they're proposing?
The full game.
The whole thing.
Okay.
So
right.
statewide tax, and the money would then be used to fund the Chicago Transit Authority and other public transit systems in the north part of the state. Chicago's Regional Transit Authority has a budget shortfall of about $200 million, according to CBS Chicago.
they are just looking for new ways. They're gonna start implementing taxes in places that you didn't think they could implement taxes. I swear, because they're running out of money. They're running out of people to tax for things. So heaven forbid they actually look at reducing their budget. So they're just going to keep looking for more tax money.
Well, and it's honestly it's the pensions as much as anything.
Oh gosh, that's driving the state into a hole.
Yeah, I would say let's make a bunch of jokes. What can they tax? But I don't want to say it out loud and over the air.
Give them ideas.
Give them ideas because they'll probably do it. All right. Okay. President Trump floating the idea that he might invoke the Insurrection Act, speaking of Chicago, to bypass other legal hurdles in response to the military deployments in Chicago and Portland. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi was on Fox's Hannity being asked if that's still possible.
He absolutely has the right to do that, the legal authority to do that. We didn't have to do it in Los Angeles. They came in, they cleaned up the riots. You saw, look how much better LA is.
And of course, there have been multiple basically delays and injunctions by judges stopping the National Guard deployment, although they are still on the ground in those areas. They're just not able to be deployed at the moment.
I would do it anyway. I would directly challenge these lower state courts' ability to limit the movement of federal government troops to protect other federal employees while they're doing federal law enforcement. I would make that challenge. I would absolutely do it. But I'm kind of in a spot right now.
So
I'm feeling some kind of way.
You're kind of like over it.
I'm so over it.
Okay, it's that time of the news dump.
What's that?
It's the time.
Oh, the dueling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let's start with Don Beyer, a Democrat congressman out of Virginia here. Oh, why is my okay, there we got it. All right, here's part of what he had to say when he was speaking boldly to people I'm sure who already agree with him.
I'm angry because of the stupidity and the lack of vision, the cruelty and the sheer meanness of this administration.
Okay, let's see here. How about let's see here.
I guess.
Republican side, Congressman Steve Scalise. Let's do that on the Republican side. Here's what he had to say.
It is time for this shutdown to end. Chuck, don't wait for some mad march on the mall. Don't wait for some pats on the back for radical leftists who just want to hate America every single day because Donald Trump is in the White House.
Okay, so in other words, they said the exact same thing they've been saying for 3 weeks.
There is virtually no difference between the sound bites used for any particular day during this entire shutdown. No. It's just like,
but I'm covering it.
You are covering. You're doing your due diligence. It kind of at this point, it kind of feels like a tax on news. You know what I mean? On reporting news. If you were in the news business, you have to pay the shutdown tax by playing some soundbite on it.
By the way, just want to put this out there for everybody. It's been over 2 weeks. Several big parts of the federal government have been shut down. Has your life been affected in any way, shape, or form?
Nah.
Okay. Keep that in mind. The longer and longer this goes. And then when payday comes, Look at all the money you lose to federal taxes. I'm just saying, come to your own conclusions here on this. All right, the Blues are back on home ice tonight. They host the Blackhawks with the puck drop at 8:30. Yeah, this is the late game. This is TNT's national late game tonight. The Blues are 2-1-0 on the season. All right, David Amalotti from KMOV is covering the situation with Sheriff Montgomery and him being locked up right now. The sheriff, not David. We'll talk to David and get the update on that in about 3 minutes.
Making cold my to fight your war. Stop right now.
Well, that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Hey, it's Susan Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
For 3 generations, one family has ruled the road in quality asphalt paving. Ruby's King of the Road Hot Mix Asphalt Paving. Family owned and operated. We're your leading authority for driveways, lanes, and parking areas. No project is too small or too large. We cater to both residential and commercial needs with unbeatable quality at just $38 per square yard plus labor. Call 636-295-9949. 636-295-9949. Ruby's King of the Road Hot Mix Asphalt Paving. You save when we pave.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Was completely wasting, out of work and down. All inside, it's so frustrating as a driven town in town.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
I'm sure this just happened to come up in the rotation of the month music, Breaking the Law by Judas Priest. I see what you did there. All right. 6:19 right now. The sheriff is in jail. It actually happened. And by the way, real quick, just a quick note, because I know there's a lot of folks who follow me from the show on X or Twitter. Thank you so much. I updated my handle. It is now AVP Mike Ferguson. And so instead of AVP radio show, it's AVP Mike Ferguson. So I made that adjustment. So if you haven't jumped on and connected with me there, I'd love for you to do that. All right. Joined now by David Amalotti, who's covering this for KMOV. David, first of all, thanks for being on the program here. Secondly, when you look at just the facts of the case, and I've been in the media business for, going on 30 years or so now, I don't know that I've ever covered a story with this many twists and turns and drama and just all sorts of things that are so unusual. We knew this was a possibility. The bond could be revoked. This was not his trial. He wasn't declared guilty. But what were some of the factors that the federal judge in the case used to say, I'm going to take the unusual step of putting the sitting sheriff into custody?
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on. It is bizarre
you mentioned the twists and turns, and the fact of the matter is we're just 10 months into the sheriff's term as sheriff of the city of St. Louis. You know, the judge made it pretty clear that he could not find a condition yesterday in court that would guarantee that Alfred Montgomery would not violate again the terms of his bond. There were things revealed in court that caught our attention. The first being the prosecution pointing to a third phone, a burner phone that Sheriff Alfred Montgomery had acquired after he was originally placed on bond. Remember, there's an original indictment from earlier this summer where he received a misdemeanor charge in federal court involving the alleged authorization of the handcuffing of Jail Commissioner Tammy Ross. There was a sexual misconduct investigation earlier this year. And so that was a misdemeanor. That was the foundation of the federal indictment. This recent superseding indictment of 5 charges, witness tampering, witness retaliation. This is post all of that. And so it was revealed that there was this phone that was acquired, the sheriff used to talk about witnesses. They brought the pretrial services officer to the stand. The prosecution questioned them. They revealed that the sheriff was combative when originally placed on bond. They are required to take any firearms an individual has when placed on bond. He said he might have 6. It was revealed he had 14 firearms in his home. It was said that they were legally possessed, but there was that discrepancy on how many they would have. 2 assault rifles were included in that list of 14 firearms in court. And it was these multiple attempts of not following the direction of the federal judge while on bond that ultimately resulted in the U.S. Attorney's Office getting its wish, that bond be revoked. And now you have Alfred Montgomery held in jail indefinitely until we have a hearing date on the calendar.
Yeah, because there's no trial date scheduled as of this point, so it's possible that the sheriff could be in jail for quite a while.
Thank you, and that's important to make clear. There's no trial date set. So the defense team, which you have Justin Gelfand, you have a former judge, retired judge, now attorney David Mason, making part of the sheriff's legal team. They vowed to file an appeal as soon as possible with the district judge. They were very confident that could be heard in the very near future. As of this moment, when I'm talking to you at 6:22 in the morning, we don't have that confirmed yet, whether or not a district judge has seen that appeal, if that appeal has been submitted yet. But those are things that we would anticipate happening in the next, day, 48 hours.
Okay, just to drill down one clarification, we're talking about, in this case, the appeal of the revocation, not necessarily the whole charges, just of the decision to put him
Correct.
in. Okay, got it.
Correct.
Okay, we're visiting with David Amilati from KMOV. Okay, so let's talk about what's next. Now, we have an interim sheriff who was appointed. Who appointed him? And I know that the former sheriff, Vernon Betts, has expressed on KMOV, and another one of your stories has expressed doubts about him as well. So do we even know who's actually in charge?
Well, what we do know is from my conversation with David Mason yesterday, moments outside the courthouse, moments after Alfred Montgomery's let out of the courtroom by U.S. Marshals. And he is saying that it is Yosef Yasharallah who is leading this sheriff's office in the interim. He's the number 2. He's the colonel. He wears the white shirt. He has been seen at several hearings. If you follow my reporting over the last couple of months, he has spoken before a board of aldermen on various issues, mainly budgetary issues, and this ongoing issue of whether or not the sheriff's office is responsible for the transport of inmates for medical care. So he has been somewhat visible, not as visible as the sheriff, but I'm told he's the number 2. Okay. And David Mason points to Yosef having roughly 30 years of experience. I mean, David Mason in my reporting on camera even says that Yosef served as Mason's bailiff. I think he said 7 or 8 years. So there's a prior relationship there. I do want to point out, in court yesterday, in federal court, the prosecution, when having pretrial services on the stand, it was revealed that allegedly Joseph and Montgomery are close friends. Mason disputes that. But in court, it was revealed there's a relationship there. In fact, it was revealed that the individual that Alfred Montgomery turned his firearms over to was Yosef Yasharallah. And then I think it's also important to point out that Yosef is also on this 3-person committee, along with David Mason, that's at the center of some of these more recent federal felony charges. They sit on this employee advisory committee that makes employment decisions. David Mason says that's a very legitimate structure as far as keeping the sheriff separate from some of those employee decisions. But there are optics that you have the sheriff's friend and then you have the sheriff's attorney on that committee. Anyways, that is also being discussed in court. But that's right now, that's what I know of Yosef Yasharallah. And then, of course, as you referenced, our reporting last night at 10 o'clock where Vernon was vocal about his relationship.
Okay, so has the defense or the sheriff himself responded to the calls from the mayor, the president of the board of aldermen, and some other elected officials calling on him to resign? We know he hasn't resigned. Frankly, personally, I'll be surprised if he does. But have they responded to those public calls?
I have not seen a moment where the sheriff has directly responded to these calls for resignation in the last 24 hours. I can tell you in the past, he said he wouldn't resign. I can tell you that David Mason has said that his client will not resign. And even if you look at the way the statement was released yesterday about Yosef Yasharallah becoming the interim sheriff, the language there in the post from Alfred Montgomery's account is that the sheriff's office remains fully operational. Alfred Montgomery remains the duly elected sheriff, and Yosef Yasharallah, Colonel Yosef Yasharallah, has been designated to serve as interim sheriff until further notice. And my assumption would be that until further notice is when we have a hearing in place, where we have a trial date in place. So it sounds like it's Yosef's gig until the courts put a date on the calendar.
And this is all a separate case from the quo warranto from the Attorney General's office as well. So there are multiple fronts on this.
There are, and it's interesting to see how the two are connected. They are separate cases. You have one at the state, one at the federal level. The defense yesterday making it pretty clear that they disagreed, while respecting the court's decision, they disagreed about putting Sheriff Montgomery behind bars. They referenced Judge Stephen Omer in the Quo case, saying that it's within his right to decide if the sheriff should be removed or not, that the steps taken in the federal court may somehow disrespect the power that the state's Supreme Court, the authority given to Stephen Omer to make rulings. But we heard from Attorney General Catherine Hanaway shortly after the news was released. And she basically said it's impossible to do the job from behind bars. And then also echoing the calls for resignation, like we heard from Mayor Kara Spencer, like we heard from Board of Aldermen President Megan Green. I think the actual language of the mayor was calling the whole thing absurd. Yeah. So those voices, in unison, saying that something needs to change.
All right, David Amalotti from KMOV. I mean, obviously, you're all over it. We'll see if anything develops today. If anything, I would think it would be something about that appeal, but we'll be tracking it. Thank you so much for the update.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, and you can check out his coverage and the entire team's coverage at KMOV.com, video, and also plenty of copy there as well that you can read. And the mayor's right. This is such an absurd situation on this. So basically the defense, their goal right now, not just get him out of jail, but try to keep his job. We'll see whether that's going to be possible or whether it's not going to be possible.
Remember the fall and honor those who serve. Teach our children the value of freedom. On December 13th, we're going out a little bit here, but keep this in mind. Mark your dates, mark your calendars. At December 13th at 11 a.m., Civil Air Patrol St. Louis Composite Squadron will be helping Bellerive Gardens Cemetery to remember honor our veterans by laying remembrance wreaths on the graves. So keep that in mind.
Breaking the law. So much for the golden future. I can't even stop.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. This morning, temperatures back towards the lower 60s will rise into the mid-80s by the afternoon, partly cloudy. Then into Thursday and Friday, temperatures into the mid-80s, looking dry by Saturday, welcoming some chances of some showers and storms. A few of those could be isolated, strong to severe as we head off into Saturday. That'll clear by Sunday. On the back end of that, going to be tracking cooling temperatures. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. And of course, for dessert, I get a giant chocolate chip cookie. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Looking for a hardware store that treats you like family? Welcome to True Value Schneider's Hardware, your local gem in Old Town St. Peters. For over 100 years, we're proudly serve you St. Charles County, providing everything from lawn and garden supplies to plumbing and electrical. Need a bolt or fastener? We've got you covered. And don't forget, we're a steel dealership. Whether you need sales, parts, or service, ask for Charlie or Jerry when you come in. We're here to help. Call 636-278-4461 or visit us online at truevalue.com/Schneiders.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
NPR, guess what? Got defunded, and they're going to close down operations. If they're not going to get federal funding, well, then guess what? There are plenty of radio salespeople out there in the United States who can sell time, big time. You know why they don't sell hire a sales team? Because nobody will buy advertising because they suck so bad. Oh my God! You don't see people.
You're so correct. That's it right there.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman here with the Allman Report. Pleased to be with Jordan Rosenblum. Google the bagel loan. That's what it's all about. Jordan, tell me about purchasing a home, brother.
Purchasing a home right now, it's a tough market. You're going to see a lot of competition. On the bagel loan that we have, you're going to have no closing costs, no title fees, no appraisal fees, no lender fees. Saves an average client almost $4,000 on a transaction. Customer service, unbelievable. Text, call anytime.
As I know, as a real estate agent, Google the bagel loan. Google the bagel loan, folks.
NMLS number 226715.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
One of the comments that I'm looking at on the Rumble chat box from this morning, so thank you, Corporeal Being, for that. Murdering helpless, innocent, tiny humans is the worst kind of violence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's where we're at. And that was probably after I reported earlier on the fact that a Western District Court of Appeals in Missouri has essentially given the green light for, we're talking about the procedural abortions to resume. So it's possible that killing could resume today if it didn't resume yesterday, but at any point now. So we've got some really bad news. Now, we've had a couple of court rulings that went the pro-life way recently, but now we've had a big one, like I said, go the wrong way. And we're joined by Steve Rupp from Missouri Right to Life right now. So, Steve, this is a little bit complicated, but this isn't the final decision. There's actually a trial on what's at hand. What is it that the judge actually decided yesterday to, at least for the moment, allow the abortions to resume in Missouri?
Well, first of all, Mike and Gabe, thanks for having me on. We greatly appreciate it. And they have basically struck down health and safety standards. And I want you to, as we talk about this, I want you to put in the back of your mind two things. Number one, money, because health and safety standards cost money, right? So Planned Parenthood doesn't want to spend the money, so they asked for this to be overturned. Number two is women's health. Think about women's health. They are constantly talking about women's health care. Abortion is women's health care, right? So think about money and women's health care. So what they did was they struck down all these health and safety standards, and I'll list a few of them. First of all, that we must follow acceptable sterilization standards for surgery instruments and equipment. Well, that seems, like common sense, doesn't it? But in inspections at Planned Parenthood a few years ago, inspections that we helped pass statute that made them be inspected, because they were not inspected hardly at all for years because they had such a liberal healthcare department. So we found that they had sterilization equipment that had rust on it, rust on the sterilization equipment. That they had dried blood on chairs in their recovery room. That they were not sterilizing instruments, and so these health and safety standards are essential to women's health, and they're trying to do away with those. Another one is sufficient exams to determine a child's gestational age, to identify pre-existing complications and things that could affect the type of procedure that they're going to go through. Anesthesia, pre- and post-op management, all of those things are gone. Require ultrasound only be performed by doctors or licensed medical technicians. We have heard stories from moms that go in there and they say, well, you don't have to look at it. It says that we have to offer you an ultrasound. You have to look at the screen. You don't even have to open your eyes. You don't have to look. Plus, the screens were grainy and snowy because they were old equipment, because they purposely wanted people to look at those screens and go, well, see, you can't see anything because there is nothing in there. And then another one is a requirement to have emergency trays equipped to treat seizures, bleedings, anaphylactic shock, respiratory arrest, cardiac arrest. Again, these are common sense things, and these are going to be gone. A requirement to have emergency drugs, oxygen, and intravenous fluids in a surgical procedure room with breathing bag and suction machine. That's gone. Requirement that facilities for surgical abortion have adequate scrub-up facilities, that the sterilizing room be equipped with a steam sterilizer and sufficient surgical instruments sterilized and available for each patient who presents herself for an abortion. These are common sense things. But here's what Planned Parenthood is saying is, we're not a surgical center. We shouldn't have to live up to those standards. We're not a surgical center, something that uses and here's what an abortionist said, not in St. Louis, but another abortionist said, we're not a surgical center because we don't use a scalpel. That's what determines a
Right.
surgical center. Do you know how many women have left that Planned Parenthood? And we have documentation after documentation that left in an ambulance with severe bleeding that threatened their lives. That's not a surgery. When you're taking what's called a curette, which is a curved knife that they go into the women's womb after the abortion and scrape the walls of the uterus to make sure they got all the pieces of the child out. And the woman begins to bleed. And if that's not surgery, I don't know what is.
Good morning, Steve. Gabe here.
Hi, Gabe.
Hey, so what it sounds like is exactly what we predicted would happen, is that because of the wording of old Amendment 3, that all of the safety requirements go down. So then what is the recourse for any woman who is injured or, God forbid, dies from a surgical abortion?
Amendment 3 that we passed last time gives that woman no legal recourse. That is in our state constitution. Is that women's health? Is that women's health care? That the woman has no recourse to sue?
It's wild. It's wild what we're dealing with right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a proactive immunity that, as far as I know, doesn't exist anywhere else in our country other than big pharma over the COVID stuff. And I'm not trying to make a joke, but it's so unusual for a proactive immunity that I don't know that people knew that they were voting on that. That was buried somewhere deep within the language that wasn't even on the ballot, I don't think.
Now, we told them.
Yeah, we told them. Yeah.
And you guys told them for sure.
Yes. But the vast majority of the people that walked in that voting booth did not know that.
Yeah. We're visiting
It's incredible.
We're visiting with Steve Rupp from Missouri Right to Life. Okay, so what's next here? Let's talk about two things. One, with what's next with this case, because this isn't the final say. This is just at least until the trial can happen, is my understanding. So where are we in the process of this set of health standards and safety regulations? And then the bigger picture is, where do we go from here? Obviously, we've got Amendment 3, but that's not till November of 2026, most likely. What do we do the next step after this one?
Yeah, and this is exactly, Mike, why we have to pass Amendment 3. And I know it's next November. It seems like it's forever. We're going to blink our eyes and we're going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Catherine Hanaway, our new Attorney General, is squarely in our corner. She came out and made a statement that she said that this decision was absolutely wrong for women's health. This is absolutely wrong. Now, what she does from there, I'm not sure. I don't know if there's some recourse for her to appeal this to the Supreme Court, but she is certainly going to be in the fight. There's no question about it. So what we have to do is we have to educate people. We are starting right now educating people about the very same things that we're talking about. We said all these things, and Gabe, you said it a moment ago. We said all these things in Amendment 3's battle last time around, and the people that went into that booth that we talked to voted correctly. They voted against Amendment 3 in the last year because they knew these things were going to happen. We said they were going to happen. They said they weren't going to happen. They lied.
Okay, so the legal case in here, though, I want to come back just to make sure everybody understands where it's at. This isn't necessarily a final decision, although I'm going to tell you I'm not truly optimistic the court's going to do the right thing. But what's the next step in the legal process?
Well, it's going to be, this goes to trial in January. I don't remember the date in January, but it goes to trial in January. So in the interim, we're going to do everything we can to try to stop it. But there's, we unfortunately, in many instances, we have a red state with a blue court, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah. And Steve, in that case right there, between now and then, obviously, is there anything the Missouri legislature can do, or is this all just simply in the hands of the courts and then the voters in November? Or is there anything that we can do policy wise, politically, to try to save lives? Because I mean, to me, I'm not even thinking in terms of pro-life win, pro-abortion loses. I'm thinking there are going to be lives lost in the meantime.
Without question. It's starting, like you said, starting yesterday. They're going to be performing abortions, surgical abortions. Now, there are some things that and when I talked earlier about the money aspect, think of the money. All of those things that I mentioned to you cost them money. They don't want to spend that money, so they are willing to sacrifice women's health for money, which is incredible. There's still a statute on the books that only doctors can perform surgical abortions, and they're trying to overturn that as well. They're trying to overturn the parental consent, which imagine that, telling a family that your daughter can have an abortion without you even knowing about it. What kind of women's health is that?
Yeah, exactly. And then also requiring a doctor do a surgical procedure. I mean, that they're against that as well. That just jumped out at me when you said that. So who is it that they want to allow to do this?
Medical professionals. So what is a medical professional? What is a medical professional? Is that a nurse? Is that the lady at the front desk that's, checking people in? What is a medical professional performing abortions? But you can see that saves a lot of money if you don't have to pay a doctor.
Right.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of money, Steve, I think your organization is I think among the best in the state at getting information out on these issues and beat the streets and doing what needs to be done to help our efforts to save lives. So how do people donate to Missouri Right to Life?
Just go to MissouriLife.org. MissouriLife.org. What we're doing right now is obviously we're so laser focused on passing Amendment 3, the new Amendment 3, which will hopefully go on the ballot next November. That's still to be determined by the governor. Next November, hopefully we'll have the ability to be able to overturn basically 99% of all the abortions in the state of Missouri if we pass Amendment 3 in November of next year. So we've got to educate people on these very issues. We've got to educate people that what they put into that into the Constitution, the state Constitution has abortion glorified in our state Constitution. We have got to stop that. That's insanity. It's all the things that we just talked about just now, all of these safety standards. This is just common sense. Who would be against any one of those things that I read? Who would be against any of them? And they're against all of them. This is not about women's health. This is about money.
And with the new Amendment 3, should it pass, God willing, those existing statutes that cover these sorts of things will be reinstated. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
All
yeah.
right.
So the legislature would not have to repass them. They would just go back into effect.
Right.
Oh, that's actually really good news.
That's really good. So all of those existing safeties with protections that we have existing, they'll come right back. That's excellent news.
All right, Steve Rupp, Missouri Right to Life, MissouriLife.org. Appreciate the update. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you, guys. God bless you.
God bless you, Steve.
Now it's that time of the week again, Mike. Do you know what that would mean?
What's that mean?
That means it's bump day.
Bump day.
the day where I bug
Yeah.
all of you for your favorite 80s themed bump music request. Now, I don't know how this came to be.
Okay.
This
has the chat ruled us again?
the chat, yes, they have decided that this week's theme is going to be songs that have the word rock in them.
Yes!
Or
Yes!
have rock themes, both
Rock.
in the metaphorical and literal sense of the word rock.
Okay.
So,
all right. Mike is very happy about this.
You want to
thing.
help us have a rockin' Friday?
It wasn't a week or two ago. It was like songs that would piss Mike off.
Yeah, pretty much. So the chat is now.
They are
They've come
stone cold
back.
crazy about this theme. So
Now
Mike's
songs
rescue
that
here.
will soothe Mike.
Exactly. They heard him, and now they're gonna pat him.
So send them to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL as well as the time that you listen, so you can actually hear your request.
Live and local.
Well, here's what's on my mind. I think I got the solution to immigration.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Heroes Care, Alamo Military Collectibles, and Monocle's Pizza.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude. Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. When severe weather hits, scammers often follow. They may pose as charities, jack up prices on essentials, or offer fraudulent home repairs. I'm committed to protecting Missourians from those scams. If you've been targeted or suspect price gouging, report it to our office at 800-392-8222 or online at ago.mo.gov.
Paid for by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
All right. I don't know that I've ever read this headline or written this headline before, and that is the sheriff is in jail.
The sheriff is in jail.
The sheriff is in jail.
Oh, my gosh.
Basic details for you on that here in just a moment. Killing is resuming in abortion clinics in Missouri any day now. We just had the conversation with Steve Rupp, but I'll go over the basic details of that. And then also Charlie Kirk is honored at the White House on his birthday. All right, 6:49 right now. Let's go and do another news dump.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Okay, like I said, the sheriff is behind bars. A federal judge revokes the bond of St. Louis City Sheriff Alfred Montgomery and sends him to jail to await trial.
This is so wild.
Yeah.
This is crazy. He's serving as the sheriff.
Yeah.
From behind bars. I mean, now he's not performing any functions.
Right.
There's an interim sheriff who's been named, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because his attorney, David Mason, was asked about this yesterday by some of the media saying, what happens if there's like an executive decision that needs to be made? Is he going to get on a Zoom call? And they said, we haven't had that come up. We don't know, but there's an interim who's been appointed in the meantime. KMOV's David Amilati, who was just on the program with us about a half an hour ago, he reports on why the judge made that decision, at least some of the reasons.
The federal judge opting to revoke bond because he says there isn't a way to guarantee Montgomery does not violate bond again. In court Tuesday, it was revealed once placed on bond, the sheriff was combative and not transparent about how many guns he possessed, which he was required to turn over to pretrial services. The U.S. Attorney's Office says Montgomery also used a burner phone to make calls naming witnesses, as revealed in this excerpt from the September 5th recording, where Montgomery says, quote, "Witnesses gotta go. Witnesses definitely gotta go. I don't have to take this expletive. I'm the expletive sheriff. You work for the pleasure of me. I brought you in this expletive. I will move you out of this expletive."
Okay, so Sheriff Montgomery is now in the custody of U.S. Marshals.
Yeah, the quotes there, the quotes at the end there, talking about how he responded to his current situation. That is craziness. That is the absolute peak of self-delusion to think that you are just such a big deal as the sheriff and that hey, I run this stuff, basically.
If you were writing like a movie villain, you could not write better dialogue.
Oh, exactly.
It's pretty much. Yeah,
exactly. Oh my goodness. All right. His lawyers say they're filing an appeal to the bond revocation. The actual trial date has not been set yet, so we don't even know how long he's going to be in jail.
Yeah. Now he's entitled to his defense.
Absolutely.
But
his day in court.
And his day in court. Absolutely. That's what we call due process.
Yep.
This is I don't know how, if you're a judge or anybody who has to make a decision on his case, how you just don't immediately throw the book at him, just like, okay, you're done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He said with his own mouth all of the things that you need to convict him.
Oh my goodness. All right. Abortions are about to resume in Missouri if they haven't already. That's the result of an appeals court ruling on Tuesday. The Western District Court rejected the Attorney General's office's effort to reinstate some regulations on abortion that were in effect before the pro-abortion amendment was added to the state constitution last November. So there is a bench trial scheduled on the appeal in January where the issue will be decided for sure, at least until the next election on this, because voters are going to have another chance to address abortion with the new Amendment 3. That's going to be decided in 2026. Our conversation with Steve Rupp from Missouri Right to Life is going to be up on the NewsTalkSTL podcast shortly after the show ends today.
Now, every one of the abortions that happens in the coming days is obviously it's going to kill the child, but it's also going to put a woman at risk because of the lack of regulations on any of the things that these people are going to be doing. Exactly. So it's a terrible day for Missouri right now.
The suspect accused of setting fire to Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's governor's mansion back in April has pleaded guilty to all of the charges. 36-year-old Cody Balmer pleaded guilty in a Pennsylvania court Tuesday. Now, the charges included attempted murder because the governor and his family, they were in the mansion at the time, and the attempt was to kill them all. Aggravated arson, burglary, terrorism, and other related offenses. Governor Shapiro spoke with the media Tuesday about the rise in political violence across the country, saying the justice was served with this plea.
I think we need real accountability for acts of political violence. And today is real accountability for the violence that came here to Pennsylvania.
Okay, so Shapiro says that despite the hardship that his family faced in all this, they fully supported the plea deal. Balmer set fire around 2 a.m. on the first night of the Jewish holiday of Passover. Shapiro and his family, they were there. They were asleep at the time, but they obviously got out. In a 911 call audio obtained by Fox 29 in Philadelphia, Balmer admitted that he set the fire because of what Shapiro, quoting here, wants to do to the Palestinian people.
Come on, man.
Yeah, he's the governor of Pennsylvania. He can't do anything to anybody outside of Pennsylvania. So what you had was another anti-Semitic bigot that happened here. All right. President Donald Trump honoring the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk by posthumously awarding him the Presidential Medal of Freedom on Tuesday. Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, thanked the president at the White House.
We're gathered not only to celebrate Charlie's birthday, but to honor a truth that he gave his entire life to defend, and that's freedom.
And Tuesday would have been Charlie Kirk's 32nd birthday.
Man.
Okay, let's see here. Let's talk a little troops in the street, shall we? Okay, so Pam Bondi was on with Hannity, and she was asked about the possibility of President Trump invoking the Insurrection Act to get around courts that are blocking him from deploying the National Guard troops in Portland and Chicago and places like that.
He absolutely has the right to do that, the legal authority to do that. We didn't have to do it in Los Angeles. They came in, they cleaned up the riots. You saw, look how much better LA is.
Okay, because as of right now, there are court battles going on in both of those cities, which inevitably will affect the deployment in other places as well.
Do you think it would be fair to characterize a state prohibiting the enforcement of federal law in their state as an insurrection?
I would call that at the very least obstruction of justice, because there are laws that say you can't do that.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if you dress it up on a nice piece of parchment and sign it, that's still obstruction.
Yep.
So I don't know that we've had conflicts between states and the federal government dating back to, I don't know, the 1700s.
The beginning.
But this is a different version of it.
Now, is there a way for the federal government to say, okay, if you're going to obstruct what we're doing, then we're just going to cut off any federal funding you would receive from us?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. And there's challenges about that as well.
Honestly, yeah, I believe they've already done some of those. They've attempted to do some of those. And there are obviously judges who have been blocking those because everything that Trump does, there's a judge going to be down there someplace like, no, you can't do that, sir. And then they'll get smacked down by the Supreme Court if it ever makes it there. And then they'll do it again.
Basically, both sides are on offense in different ways right now. All right. More stuff is about to become more expensive. There's another batch of goods now affected by import taxes.
New tariffs on imported kitchen cabinets, bathroom vanities, and upholstered furniture are now in effect. The Trump administration says the aim is to boost domestic production and to protect American companies. These latest tariffs are prompting concerns among some small business owners who worry that higher-priced cabinets will lead potential customers to delay renovations. Greg Clugston, Washington.
This is personally impacting me.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
really?
yeah, because we're currently designing our new kitchen, and one of the things our consultant said, well, you might want to pull the trigger sooner rather than later because right now they're burning through their current stock of cabinets, but the ones that are going to be imported, that's going to cost some extra.
Cost more money.
Yep. And it isn't just that the cabinets themselves are being imported, just the components, the base materials is being imported, and that's going to cost all of us.
Oh man, Blues at home tonight. They play the Blackhawks at 8:30. That is TNT's late national game.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
Hi, Kirk Hilzinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Hey guys, Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. On behalf of Tim Jones and I just want to thank you for making Jeffco Patriot Radio the #1 listened to show on Sundays here on News Talk STL, where we dive into all the things happening in and around Jefferson County. Check Tim Jones and I out on Jeffco Patriot Radio this and every Sunday at high noon here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
This December 13th, join Wreaths Across America at Belle Reve Gardens Cemetery as we remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach our children the value of freedom. Help us lay remembrance wreaths on the graves of our fallen heroes. Sponsor a wreath, volunteer, or bring your family to this meaningful tribute to our veterans, because every hero deserves to be remembered. Learn more and sponsor a wreath. Visit NewsTalkSTL.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
This hour from Town Hall, I'm Rich Thomason. The Gaza ceasefire continues to hold, although there are questions about the return of the bodies of deceased hostages. The Israeli military says that one of the 4 bodies handed over yesterday is not that of a hostage. That means the remains of 21 captives have yet to be accounted for. A continuing lack of Democrat support for a Republican funding bill in the Senate means the government shutdown drags on. House Speaker Mike Johnson says it's a perfectly reasonable bill, one that Democrats should support.
It is completely clean. There are no policy changes, no partisan riders, no gimmicks or tricks at all. All it does is keep the lights on at the current funding levels for a few extra weeks while we complete the normal appropriations process. Now compare that to the Democrats' counterproposal. They're demanding $1.5 trillion in new spending paid for by American taxpayers.
And to include free health care for illegal aliens, that's something that Johnson says the GOP cannot support. Redistricting the issue before the U.S. Supreme Court today, specifically the constitutionality of using race in redrawing congressional maps. The driver of a big rig, authorities say he was following too close behind a van, has been arrested on homicide charges stemming from a fiery crash that killed 3 adults and 5 youngsters on a Georgia highway. The International Monetary Fund out with a rosier growth forecast for the U.S. and global economy.
The IMF says so far, President Trump's tariffs have proven to be far less disruptive than many forecasters feared, but it warns the full impact of those policies is still emerging. The IMF notes that President Trump continues to make new tariff threats and that only time will tell exactly how that will impact international trade. Bob Agnew reporting.
The Dow futures up 224 points, NASDAQ futures 200 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money. You're an adult, right? But you should know gold has increased over 80% in the past 2 years. Yeah, 80%. So if you think stuffing money under your mattress or riding the roller coaster of Wall Street is your retirement plan, well, I wouldn't want to be banking on that strategy. It's time to diversify your savings and retirement assets into physical metals like gold and silver. That's where Advantage Gold comes in. When you call 800-741-GOLD, we'll send you a free gold kit that explains how rolling over your IRA or 401k into gold could not only supercharge your retirement, but maybe even help preserve your sanity. And let's be real, when's the last time you ever heard someone say, "Hey, sell all your gold"? Exactly. Never. The number's simple, 800-741-4653. And if you can spell, even better, that's 800-741-GOLD. Always consult with your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-741-GOLD.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. This morning, temperatures back towards the lower 60s will rise into the mid-80s by the afternoon, partly cloudy. Then into Thursday and Friday, temperatures into the mid-80s, looking dry by Saturday, welcoming some chances of some showers and storms. A few of those could be isolated strong to severe as we head off into Saturday. That'll clear by Sunday. On the back end of that, going to be tracking cooling temperatures. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you'll be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Mike Ferguson.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Gabe Phifer.
Extra sugar honey iced tea, baby.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, Loaded Dice is in the pokey.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be there for a little while, but he is still
like
the sheriff. The taxpayers of St. Louis are still paying his salary to be the sheriff, even though he's behind bars somewhere. We don't even know where he is.
This is crazy.
Yeah, which by the way, there's a good reason for the fact that we don't know where he is. Okay. Because he is a law enforcement officer. Rumor has it that law enforcement officers do not do well behind bars in jail.
True.
Yeah. So that's a safety measure. And so that's why I suspect the U.S. Marshals were brought into that. 7:06 right now. We're joined by a St. Louis City Republican Chair, Kirk Hilzinger. Kirk, man, good to have you back on the program right here. I guess we knew this was always going to be a possibility, man. But it's still weird to hear the sheriff goes to jail and is sitting there right now. What do you make of that decision by that federal judge? Because, oh my gosh, the stuff that was brought up as the evidence in the bond revocation hearing. We just talked to David Amilati from KMOV about it a few minutes ago. And a burner phone, I mean, saying we're going to get rid of those witnesses. I mean, what the heck, man? This is bizarre.
Well, in talking with a lot of the sheriff's deputies, Montgomery, he's had a history with them of intimidation. I mean, look at unfortunately with what he did with Anthony Kirchner, who made him roll dice to see if he got to keep his job, and then fired him a few days anyway. So this doesn't shock me. I say only in St. Louis can you have the guy that's in charge of jail safety actually sitting in jail.
Yeah. Speaking of Kirk, Gabe Phifer here, by the way. What does this say about the entire public safety infrastructure in the city?
It's seeing some help, especially with the state taking over for the St. Louis City Police. But what people outside St. Louis City need to understand is that the sheriff's office is independent of the police, Metropolitan Police. The sheriff's office is there for the courts and there for the jail. It is agency. Sheriff Montgomery never had arrest powers, which is why he's having the problem with the federal indictment. Not only did he detain that woman because he didn't get to talk to the rape victim, but he also moved her into a different location, physically to do, according to what I've been told about this.
Yeah, and that's what the surveillance video shows. That's been released as well. We're visiting with Kirk Hilzinger from the St. Louis City Republicans. So we're talking about another embarrassment for the city. I mean, the mayor and the board of aldermen president, who don't agree on much of anything, they're both in agreement. He should resign. He's probably not going to. But you've got another situation where a relatively small law enforcement office is now big news, and it's another embarrassment of a city that's known nationwide for a lack of public safety.
Yeah, look at since he was in office is placing on St. Louis City, who's already strapped for cash. Now we have to defend this guy in his bad behavior, and he should do the honorable thing and resign. And if I remember right during the election, I'll give Megan, which is abnormal for me, but she did support, if I remember right, Alfred Montgomery for sheriff And now she's even calling for his resignation. So that should be a big, huge indicator that Alfred Montgomery that maybe trying to keep in. And I think that I don't think he's doing this for the best intentions of St. Louis City. He should do this. And that's why we came out with that resolution in our August meeting saying that, we demand his resignation.
Yeah, which probably isn't gonna happen unless there's some sort of plea deal that's involved with it. So now we've got another case. Obviously, the Attorney General's involved. Catherine Hanaway taking over for Andrew Bailey, continuing to pursue the Quo Warranto effort to just throw him out of office. Is there any solace that the people of St. Louis should be taking in that the state is coming in and trying to protect them when apparently local officials have just kind of dropped the ball on so many levels?
Well, you have to think the pressure is on Alfred Montgomery when you have federal and state, and even the mayor and the president of the Board of Aldermen calling for him to step down. Case, I think this makes it monumentally easier because one of the originally six, now 5 counts for that writ was the wrongful detain of this city jail official.
Now, is there anybody in mind to replace him that you might have? Is it? I mean, I doubt there are any full on Republicans who would even be in the running for this particular thing. But we know that there are Democrats that we can work with. There are people who are at least willing to do their jobs. Our current prosecutor, I think, has been doing a pretty good job. Is there anybody that you have in mind who could replace him?
And I don't know who would actually make the call to replace him. In some aspects, I've heard some mayor. Some aspects, I heard a special election. But personally, I would like to see Anthony Kirchner, the guy who lost his job by having to roll dice, to Alfred Montgomery. I think that would be very poetic.
Yeah. Yeah. And it looks like the city charter may be somewhat ambiguous on this. And then also you've got the fact that typically when a sheriff is out of office, the governor sometimes appoints, but that may be different for the city of St. Louis, with the separate city charter. So we don't know if it would be an appointment by the mayor, the governor. Beavis Schock from the Holy Joe Society believes it would be a special election as well. So essentially you've got a very small, very limited duty office that is now throwing a lot of things into chaos because of one man's behavior. And that again goes right back, Kirk, to the black eye that this is giving to the city. It's just another embarrassment on a city that is known for not being able to run anything when it comes to public safety well.
I mean, look at the history we've had. It's Kim Gartner, then Corey Bush was gone, then he's looking like on his way out. Tashara Jones was very defund the police as well. It's just, and what I've noticed from the citizens that I've talked to in St. Louis City is they're done with the defund the police. They want law enforcement back.
Yeah. And so where do we go from here? This is a long-term reclamation of the city, which is what you all are trying to do, day in and day out, month in and month out. Are people starting to warm up to that idea? Because Republicans were just partisan non grata for years. Are people starting to say, maybe we need another option? Maybe we need to give these guys a chance. I mean, I don't expect you're going to sweep the Board of Aldermen anytime soon or the state rep seats anytime soon, but is there ground to be made even in the upcoming elections?
I am looking for candidates for the 2026 election and 2027 election, which is the even number one place Megan Green as Board of Aldermen president. We're looking for quality candidates. Now I figured that the hardest job that we have right now is to flip one seat within the city of St. Louis from blue to red. And I think that's the hardest thing that we're going to have to undertake. And I think once we get that first one, it becomes easier and down the line. But Democrats have held control of the Board of Aldermen and the mayor's office since 1949. 1950 was the highest census we had at 856,000 people. We have seen a steady decline in population to down to less than 277 2024. And number one reason that people are leaving is crime. Number one reason that businesses are leaving is crime. And the number one reason for tourism being down is crime. Let's change this around and make St. Louis great again.
All right, Kirk, great chat with you again. The next meeting, or people want to learn more, connect with y'all in the city, what's the way to do it?
It's always the first Thursday of the month at the St. Louis Police Officers Association. And I am going to announce that we are having our annual Christmas party on December 11th. Tickets will be on sale soon. So putting Christmas decorations up, it's time to start thinking about Christmas as well.
All right, appreciate it, Kirk. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, Kirk. Now,
thank you.
Now, don't forget, you can take us and this conversation with you anywhere in the freaking world, man, if you have the NewsTalkSTL app on your phone.
Sheriff Alfred Montgomery could listen to us in jail if he had the app on his burner phone.
You're not wrong. And he could hit the wheel of fun and hit the little telephone icon and call us here in the studio immediately. His phone would immediately connect to him, and Jerome can negotiate for his dice.
Yeah, I put money in your commissary if you can tell me those dice are right. I'm just saying.
I mean, what else does he have to do?
Exactly. So just like Sheriff Montgomery from jail, you too can listen to the silence of Mike Ferguson in the morning using the NewsTalkSTL app. Go to wherever you get your apps, get it on your phone. If you got a phone, you got a radio.
You know, there is a big difference from locally made and fresh and just the mass-produced dry donuts that you get at some convenience store. Mike Ferguson here for my friends and indulgence creators at Mario's Donut Restaurant on Mugie Road. I'm telling you, there is a big difference. Don't waste your time stopping in at some convenience store, some gas station, and getting some dry, crispy donut that was made 2, 3, 4, 5 days ago, maybe a week ago, and just shipped through a processing thing. Mario's makes their donuts right there. It's fresh. It's right here. Also, grab a great cup of coffee. Maybe get a breakfast sandwich. You want something a little less sweet, a little more hearty. You can do that and just hang out there at Mario's. Look up mariosdonutrestaurant.com, or you know what? Put in your GPS, put in Mario's Donuts, and it'll take you right there. And by the way, it's not just breakfast, not just donuts. They also have some fantastic lunch options as well. So run on out there on your lunch break, grab yourself a gyro, grab yourself a sandwich, grab yourself a good cup of coffee or a soft drink. They will get you set up. mariosdonutrestaurant.com. And you know what? Every time I talk about Mario's, it turns out that we end up with a box of Mario's at the station. I'm not saying I'm calling for that for anybody who may be listening. I'm just saying that it's happened before and I've not complained. mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
What will happen with the Voting Rights Act? Zach Smith of Heritage to discuss, and opinions on the Pope from Ambassador Rooney.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
John Burnett, show host at Newsmax, professor at NYU. Is there hope in the younger generations for America?
I don't teach from a left, right, or center. I teach common sense. No socialism. I force them to think critically. They are uncomfortable in the first 3 weeks, but then they start getting it. And guess what? They actually end up embracing it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
News, analysis, opinion.
You know, they're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's the Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You know what else is dysfunctional sometimes?
What's that?
The Republican movement.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Do you see this thing in Politico? Okay.
All of it is pissing me off.
Yeah, it really is.
Every single part of it.
Okay, so why is it so hard to say some people on our side were wrong and shouldn't be in leadership and distance ourselves from gross people and gross behavior? Why is that hard? I don't get this. Okay, so here's the basic details. Politico, to be sure, a leftist organization.
Absolutely.
They and
everything they say should be taken with a grain of salt. Do your own research.
Right,
yes, absolutely.
right. Okay, so they publish this investigation into group chats of leadership of the National Young Republicans.
Right.
The organization Young Republicans, not Republicans who happen to be young, the actual capital Y, capital R, Young Republicans. And what they saw was a pattern among some. Now we're talking about a fairly small group of people.
Small group.
But people near the top of the chain for the Young Republicans. Again, not all of them, but some of them. And in their chat, that is specifically for running and discussing young Republican issues.
Yes.
It was bad, man. It was gross.
Yes. And now we're not talking edgelord jokes.
Right.
We're not talking, basically some conversations that you might hear between me and Mike.
Oh gosh, yes. Can you imagine how much trouble you and I'd be in if they saw our Facebook messages, like direct messages back and forth?
It's like, hey, take this video.
Yeah. My gosh.
But look, but that, part of that is, yes, you got to understand. I don't want to say boys will be boys, but yes, boys will be boys. There's a level to that is just real. It's edgy jokes,
right.
Dark humor. That's kind of a thing. That's kind of a way that we release our testosterone in a safe way. But that's not what we're talking about here.
No.
I've read some of the exchanges here. That's not this.
Yeah. So here's where we're at now. First of all, is this a hit piece from Politico?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it timed specifically to undermine Charlie Kirk's honoring at the White House?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Here's the thing, though.
Does it pale in comparison to people calling for our death?
Yes.
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 But that's not the issue.
Right. And here's the other part of this is nobody is questioning the accuracy of the screenshots and the quotes.
Right.
Nobody is saying you made that up. Nobody is saying I didn't say it. That's not what it is. They're pointing out Politico's motives, which is probably correct.
That's true.
Politico, because they in this entire article, which by the way is like 16 pages.
Yeah, it's long.
It's a long expose that they did. They have a lot of screenshots. They've got the receipts.
Yeah, and also they've got quotes from the individuals whose chats are there, and they are saying it's like, hey, it might be that some of this is taken out of context, but I'm going to own it, and some of them are doing the mea culpa. Right. I apologize. This language is unacceptable.
Right, exactly. So here's what's brought it here locally home. The Missouri Republican Party, among others, put out a statement. This is basically gross. They have no business. This doesn't stand for what Republicans stand for. This is against, doing the right thing.
Yes.
Saying, we saw this, we've read the report, and we denounce it, and we distance ourselves from that.
Yeah.
And the reaction of people who are mad at them for saying the overt racism and anti-Semitism, for speaking out against the bad stuff. I mean, we're not talking about we're anti-DEI, which the left claims is racist, which is stupid. We're talking about referring to black people as the watermelon people, as monkeys, words that it's a bad idea for me to say on the air here. And so we're also, talking about never trust the Jews, never trust a Jew. I mean, we're talking about really overt stuff in the context of this is our political work and activism.
Yes.
So we're talking about
this isn't locker room stuff.
No. This is, I mean, I will tell you, like, for instance, back when in my martial arts days, oh my gosh. First of all, my dojo, I mean, we had a little bit of everybody. You talk about as racially diverse as you're going to find. Oh, we were awful.
Oh yeah,
but it was at each other and at our own expense. It was a different context, but we still didn't say this stuff.
Yeah. There were. If one of us in my, basically United Nations representative friend group that I had in high school went that far as what we saw in some of those messages, there might have been some punches thrown.
If I said this to my sensei,
he might put you on the ground.
I wouldn't be here right now. He knew how to kill people.
Yeah, for real.
But I mean,
but here's the problem. The reaction is the problem to me. Because look, you're going to get these things in any large group, and actually, I would point out that particularly among young people, this is kind of a culmination of some of the fears that I've had about the way some of these things were being done to begin with. I think Charlie Kirk's efforts were to counter this. He was trying to ground a philosophical, present the philosophical grounding for a political thought on the right, so that young people wouldn't fall into this purely anti-left sort of way of thinking, because this is the type of bro stuff that I was worried about that would become commonplace among young politically active people on the right.
I think this isn't just bro stuff though. This is exposing some people who have gotten into some upper positions of one organization as truly bad people, as truly people we don't want in the movement.
Well,
and to say that has garnered a huge backlash, because I mean, for instance, Camellia Peterson, now she just her own personal thing. She basically said, "Yeah, denouncing this is the right thing." That's basically all she said.
That's basically all she said. Yeah.
Oh my God, look at the reaction! How people have responded with such hate. This is how we lose, but the other side. And I'm thinking, why is it difficult for people to say no when somebody is not in a bro sense, but in a truly bigoted sense, representing a movement, saying, don't trust a Jew. I like Hitler. What about let's throw them into the gas chambers.
Yeah, if they don't vote for us.
Right. Watermelon people, monkeys. And so at what point why is that hard for people to say, how dare you divide us and throw your own under the bus? No, we should be throwing them under the bus because we're supposed to be better.
Yeah. What's fascinating to me, and first of all, let me address the point I was starting to bring up before, is that I think part of this, especially among young people, is a reaction to the left. Because the left, through their indoctrination centers, through K through 12 school systems, through culture, has basically perpetuated a war on straight white males.
Sure.
And
that's happened. Yeah.
And they have created a world that is obsessed with identity, unless your identity is that, right? So I think on some level, this is I won't say it's not a good reaction. It's a natural reaction for young people who are not grounded in logic, reason, and morality. We have to teach the kids these things. Any kid who's stolen something and you had to tell them, so that shows it. But these kids, I think this is their punk rock. This is their attempt to thumb their nose, to say the thing that they were told they could never say in polite company, and they've done it, and they've made it part of their identity. And of course, it becomes it starts to come out in real expressions. It isn't just words at some point, because you basically you can self-indoctrinate on some level. So I think these kids, they need to take responsibility. They're not.
And we say kids, we're talking 20s.
Yeah.
Young Republican is under 40.
Right.
20s. So we're talking 20s and 30s.
Yes, these are adults. They need to take responsibility for their garbage, for sure. But I will say that I think on some level that this is kind of a reaction to a world that the left has created.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we as the older, wiser Republicans need to come down pretty hard on this kind of stuff, because we can't abide it.
So there's two aspects of this in the last couple of minutes that I've got here, Gabe. One is what you said earlier, the whataboutism. And one of the common things I saw, slamming the Republican Party and Chairman Peter Kinder and like Camellia, when she goes, of course we should distance ourselves from this. Of course we should call it out.
Yes.
But they want us dead.
Right.
So basically, this is gross and disgusting. I would hope any conservative would think that's what conservative values would be, is that understanding this is gross and this is what we fight against. And so, but this is gross and awful, but they're worse. Therefore, we must not criticize this.
Right.
And
that's stupid.
Right. And then the other aspect of this is that Politico tried to link directly Donald Trump and Charlie Kirk, saying, well, it's because you've got leaders like these two.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you're going to have this sort of racist, anti-Semitic thing, which is nonsense. They were stretching, which is why I say it was a hit piece.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is they did expose that it actually happened. The Missouri Republican Party, Peter Kinder, they were right in denouncing it in a very short, simple statement. And for those of you who are defending not the freedom of expression, I'm not talking again, Gabe, you laid it out. This isn't bro talk.
Right.
You're talking about, absolute disgusting mindsets. For those of you who are saying, no, they're on our side, we shouldn't be calling them out. You need to be reflecting on something in your own life.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is the absolute wrong way to go. When they call us racist and anti-Semitic and homophobic and all these other things, it's not supposed to be true.
Right. Well, and honestly, the one thing I'm like, okay, so they were calling out a bunch of the, LGBT stuff. I'm like, that's chosen lifestyle. Okay, I get it.
I'll give it a pass on that.
But we've got enough of a problem with Jewish hatred and bigotry on the hatred of Jews on the right that's growing. Not nearly as bad as it is on the left, but we need to be putting that down and challenging that at every chance we get. We have a chance right now. Will the conservative movement succeed and call it out and put it down, or fail and be tribal?
Now, is support for gender ideology starting to wane? There are some encouraging signs, and we'll tell you about those at 7:35. But before we get to that point, we have a peace deal in the Middle East, but is there peace in Gaza? Larry Connors has some ideas on that, so stay tuned for Larry Connors' commentary.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. This morning, temperatures back towards the lower 60s will rise into the mid-80s by the afternoon, partly cloudy. Then into Thursday and Friday, temperatures into the mid-80s, looking dry by Saturday, welcoming some chances of some showers and storms. A few of those could be isolated, strong to severe as we head off into Saturday. That'll clear by Sunday. On the back end of that, going to be tracking cooling temperatures. From the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
When you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long have you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Before October 7, 2023, there was peace in the Middle East. Uneasy, fragile, but peace. It all ended on that date when Hamas carried out the attack on Israel, killing 1,200, kidnapping almost 300. Now Hamas has released all live hostages. Israeli forces have pulled back. So is there peace in Gaza? No. There are numerous reports of Hamas sending its men back into the streets. Mission: regain control of Gaza. The Hamas troops have been rounding up various Palestinians, executing them. One social media post featuring men wearing the Hamas head covers, making 7 men kneel in the street, and then targeting them with machine guns. Hamas is also battling family militias, various clans trying to keep Gaza from being controlled again by Hamas. Trump's plan calls for Hamas to cease to exist and make the entire Gaza area a DMZ under international supervision. That's the big part of the plan. But until that happens, if it happens, Gaza remains a killing field.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and I'm here with Dr. Grant Black. And Grant, does having more economic freedom make a difference in people's lives, such as maybe helping reduce poverty?
It definitely makes a difference. Economic freedom is critical for fostering well-being and prosperity. It enables people to make their own choices and pursue their own interest, like choosing careers, starting businesses, and innovating to make the world better. It thrives in environments that empower people, promote competition, and protect property rights, all while being supported by limited and healthy government. Economic freedom is a catalyst for generating higher incomes, greater wealth, more opportunities, better access to education, and improved health at all levels of society. It makes a difference.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. We keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis's #1 for conservative talk.
NewsTalkSTL.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. Keep fighting here because we're winning. And apparently we're saving some young people from the destruction of the radical gender ideology. It's why the left over all these years, Gabe, they didn't want to just engage and win a debate. They wanted us to be shut up.
They wanted absolute silence and compliance. Actually, if you weren't cheering, there was something wrong with you.
Right.
When someone would declare their pronouns.
Right, exactly. And so there was a reason, I think, and we've been saying this over the years, because the conventional wisdom, even for a time on the right, was, you know what, just don't make a big deal. We're losing. This is the way it is, and we bought into this right, wrong side of history thing, not understanding we're on the right side.
Yes.
Of everything on this. And what's happening now is, I think, partly because we have been so loud, we have been so aggressive, you call it out every time you say it. Which is why we've said, don't be necessarily polite.
Right.
Be very, very firm. To the point where somebody says, my pronouns are, you put your hand up and go, I don't play that game. That's right. That's really dumb. I live in reality.
Right.
And go ahead and hurt their feelings. Now, that doesn't mean scream and call them names and all that sort of thing, but you stand firm for truth. And so now it looks like, Gabe, it looks like this is paying off.
Yeah, I think the cultural backlash to the left pushing the Overton window way too far on this whole thing is now seeing itself expressed in the way young people engage in those issues. Because we've described, the expansion of the LGBT agenda and its population explosion over the last, 10 years or so was social contagion. Right. We've been saying that forever. It's like, you know what? The kids are just, they're moving in the direction that society is essentially pushing them. It's saying we value these people with the pronouns more than the other people. So guess what? More kids are going to grab the pronouns.
Right. And that's the message they give, but it wasn't valuing the kids. Because it's destructive for the kids. It wasn't
absolutely.
Valuing
Not
them.
really.
It was about tearing down the basic morality and foundations of a society.
Right.
That's really what it was. So there's a new survey out, pretty in-depth, as in thousands of young people surveyed on this. And those who are identifying as trans or the made-up things like non-binary, just over the past 2, maybe 3 years, that's been cut in half.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Now, here's the interesting thing is that The number of young people who were saying, well, I'm gay,
Mm-hmm.
That's staying basically the same.
It's about the same.
It's about the same. It's still lower
Yeah, I mean,
than
it's still-
the media wants you to think.
It's a tiny number.
But it's still a small number.
According to the media, if you took a survey of like TV shows and stuff like that,
Right.
it should be like 30-40%.
Right.
There'd be people that are gay.
But it's not.
That's not.
Now, here's what's interesting is the number of people who are saying I'm trans or, like I said, one of these made up non-binary things.
Non-male or female.
Right.
Anything other than.
Nosediving.
Yep.
Absolute nosediving. Less than half of what it was. And it was pretty small before.
Yeah. I mean, it was small.
But what's the interesting thing is correspondingly, the number of people who say I'm straight, I'm heterosexual, going up correspondingly. So these confused young people who are coming out of this are basically not only recognizing, yeah, there's just male and female, but they're coming out of the confusion and being what you're supposed to be.
Right. Yeah. They're just, conforming to what they are.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing how that happens. If you leave the kids alone, if you stop pushing your social engineering sort of experiments on them, they just kind of end up normal.
Right. Which is why the tactic was, first of all, sell it in the media. That's what we kept talking about in the indoctrination. Sell it in the K through 12 education system. Indoctrinate from the very beginning. Normalize it. And then you looked at the tactics that we've been pointing out and claiming, with the receipts for years. Separate the children from their parents.
Yes.
Separate the families from whatever faith foundation that they had. Separate any concept of morality. Separate all of that, and then you've got the social contagion on this. You've got the fad.
Yeah, they can fill the void.
Right. And so what's happened is, as we've continued to fight back, and we're seeing the results of the destruction now, and as the fringe left has continued to push it farther and farther and farther, more and more young people, as frankly, probably the stir craziness that young people were locked down probably has something to do with it as well.
Oh gosh, that's part of it.
But they're now looking back and going, what the heck? What were we thinking? What are you doing to these kids? Because, and I really do think because a lot of it is because so many of us were willing to be rude. We're willing to be firm.
Yeah.
We're willing to not give an inch. We're not willing to say, well, I see your point.
Right.
In almost everything, you listen and say, I see your point, and you try to empathize, and then you can lead the truth. This is in a line where I said, we said, and many others like us have said, you don't give an inch. You don't allow for any sort of untruth to be accepted. You fight back against the normalization. You do not put their mindset or their viewpoint on an equal status to that of the truth. You recognize this for the evil, demonic danger that it is, and you fight. And we're fighting, and we're winning, and young people's lives are being saved, not even just in a literal sense, but also in in the quality of life sense.
Now, when this trans stuff first kind of hit the public sphere, and we were just having discussions about it, and legislation was coming out, and all these individuals were showing up, and boys were beating little girls in track. I remember saying that this is the hill to die on.
Right.
That this is this is kind of this far no further with the leftist craziness, because it is an attack on the very foundational truth ideas that upon which we have built society, human society. From the very beginning, you can get a baby, and they've done this through experiments. An infant is capable of identifying male from female.
Yeah,
they've proven this. So if you can get somebody, if you can convince somebody who has known from birth what male and female is to say that there is no male or female, or that a male can be female or a female can be male, if you can get somebody to reject a truth that they have known instinctually from birth, you can get them to do anything and say anything and believe anything. So that trans stuff was absolutely the hill to die on. And I'm glad we've been fighting the way that we have. I think we need to continue to push it, because they're fighting tooth and nail still. They're not giving an inch, especially in the areas where they still kind of control things, like in the school system. Just this morning, I saw some guy being barred from going, a teacher being barred from going into
the same one. Yep,
going into a school where he refused to use the they pronoun on for some kid. Yet they're still pushing this stuff, and we have to continue to fight.
Right, we have to. There's just too much at stake, and the fact of the matter is that standing for truth, at least in this case, is turning the tide back towards truth. And this shouldn't be a left or right or Republican or Democrat thing. This is just a truth versus lies, life versus death thing.
Absolutely. And just tied together actually with the previous discussion we had. And this, I may be going far afield here, but I think the trans stuff is just as much a reaction to leftist identitarianism as the edgelords who are going too far with that stuff, with the white identity stuff. I think they're both reactions to the same leftist destruction of our ability to come together. Because if you're going to value every other identity except white and straight, then of course some of the white straight kids are going to say, in order to be valued, I have to reject something about myself. So they're going to identify with something weird. They're going to say, oh, well, I'm trans, I'm non-binary, I'm this, I'm a potato monster, whatever.
Potato monster.
I don't know, whatever it is, so that I can get recognition for my identity, right? Or they're going to say, all right, you're going to reject my identity. I'm going to super identify as this thing. I'm going to go so far that I'm going to reject all the other people who are not me. And that's what we're seeing, expressed in some of the young people, like we saw in that chat.
That doesn't excuse.
It doesn't excuse
what they did.
It doesn't excuse it on either side.
We should be calling them out.
It doesn't excuse it on either side. If you're in your 20s, you got to own that stuff. You got own the fact that you've messed up your life trying to identify as something other than what God made you, and you on the other side you decided to make big jokes about stupid stuff. Or
maybe not even jokes. Maybe that's
you're just expressing yourself.
That's just what you decided, how you decided to see people in the world too.
Yep. You got to stand on the rock of truth. And the other thing is, you got to give us some rock songs. I want to hear the songs from the 1980 to 1989. It's got rock in the title, rock in the theme, rock in the lyrics. I want to rock out with some 80s music. So send your bump music requests to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
My opinion is it's weird.
On NewsTalk STL.
When it comes to spending your tax dollars and teaching your kids, governments and school districts should be an open book. But in Missouri, that's not always the case. Recently, the Show Me Institute sent out a sunshine law request to school districts across the state, asking for information on whether certain topics are being taught. Specifically, a controversial one called critical race theory was included in the list. Many districts didn't respond. Some wanted to charge large fees to process the documents. Lee's Summit outside Kansas City wanted over $35,000. A rural district, Morgan County, wanted $15,000. The Sunshine Law does allow charging a reasonable fee for sending out information, but there's nothing reasonable about $35,000 or $15,000. These districts should want to be transparent about their curriculums. Taxpayers deserve to know what their kids are being taught. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I think some grown-ups are more excited about Halloween than some kids are.
Oh gosh, yeah.
They just are.
Look, some of the decorations in the neighborhoods now are getting a little out of pocket. I mean, I know Home Depot's got sales on
like 12 feet tall.
The 12-foot skeletons.
No.
I get it. I understand the 13-foot diameter blow up spider. I mean, I know it's got a cheap deal over at Home Depot, but this is too much. I don't know. Now, to be fair, I am a Christmas crazy. So if you drove by my house in the Christmas season, basically the day after Thanksgiving through to New Year's, then yes, my house would be glowing and you could probably see it from space.
You're that guy.
I'm that guy. Yes, that's true. That's true. I might be keeping you up at night. I'm sorry. So maybe I go a little overboard, but I've never understood the grown-ups going overboard for Halloween. Is it just me?
No, so I've got a theory. So when I was getting into my bachelor's program, there was already all that fear about stranger danger, don't accept candy. So the fun of going out and causing mayhem on a Halloween night was already starting to be, go away. And then you had COVID shut down everything. Whereas I think for a lot of people, especially my age, I don't know about your generation, but Halloween was just a night of just wonder and whimsy. And
yeah.
It's very much that nostalgia of like, well, nobody's really celebrating properly. We have to keep the spirit alive.
I see.
Well, now there's like I guess a social media push. Like there should be a separate Halloween for grown-ups. They're calling it Adultoween.
Okay, wait, what?
Okay, yeah.
Is that a step too far, Jerome?
Apparently that's, yeah.
Okay. I will say Halloween as an adult is already kind of weird.
Yeah,
it's just an excuse to dress skimpy and drink too much.
That's precisely it. But there are signs that you might be too old to celebrate Halloween.
Okay.
There's some signs.
Please don't make me view Halloween adults like Disney adults.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Looking at you, Tony Colombo.
If you start trick-or-treating at 4:30, you might be a little too old.
Because bedtime's at 8.
That's right. If you appreciate the houses that give out boxes of raisins because it aids your digestion.
Oh no.
I mean, you go to a party, you bob for apples, and a tooth or teeth come out while you're doing it. Your Halloween prime is passed.
You probably
That's all
passed
I'm saying.
Probably passed.
People keep commenting and complimenting you on your mummy costume, but you're not actually wearing a costume.
You're just shuffling down the street groaning.
Yeah.
Oh man, you make a great zombie.
I'm just going down the street. It's laundry day. I haven't. You have a trick or treat bag, but it's the one that you took home from the hospital that carried all your personal items after the colonoscopy.
Oh no.
Oh, you ever go to those haunted houses and you got like the old creepy scary guy who welcomes you in, but if you walk up and he goes twinsies. Just saying.
Giving me
how about this
Crypt Keeper vibes.
You're disappointed that none of your trick-or-treating loot is Werther's Originals. And those are darn tasty.
Werther's Originals are solid candy.
But that's before my time.
But the only person I've ever seen have them on them is like over 70.
Yeah.
Usually. Like that's the Werther's Original. I'll take a Werther's Original.
Oh, I will, yes.
But I've always received them from somebody over 70 years old.
But here's the last one that I found here is that after you get candy from a house, the trick-or-treaters who are in line behind you, they've got to back up and make room so you can do a 3-point turn in your scooter.
Beep, beep,
that's right.
Beep. It's got a little warning.
So those are some just a few of those.
You're too old for trick-or-treat.
Okay, that doesn't sound like adult Halloween. That sounds like retirement Halloween.
Yeah.
That's adult diaper Halloween.
Just some things to watch for. Just some things to watch.
Halloween.
Dependable Halloween.
Yeah. Another Reddit thing I found that was kind of funny. It was, you ever seen that don't trust a whatever job thing, who doesn't or who does this?
Oh, right. Okay.
So a few of these, some of these were jokes, but other ones I'm like, kind of, I mean, so let's see here. I love this one. Well, see, I don't know, but this one is like, don't trust a principal who was never a teacher.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's probably some element to that, but
well, I would say don't trust teachers that don't have principles. But
yes,
nice.
With my personal experience, again, tutoring kids from high school to college age, being a teacher does not have that same weight behind it as it used to.
It's a totally different job.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure being a teacher gives you some good insight, but that's one that came out of the education thing somebody said on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
Another one says, don't trust a restaurant manager who's never waited the table. Now, you could apply that to just about any other business.
Basically, don't trust the middle manager who's never done the job that they're of the people they're managing.
Which
I think
sometimes is true, sometimes is not.
Yeah, I think more often is true. Now, of course, if the job is just managing people,
right?
Being people, that's a whole different story. You're just putting together schedules and making sure people are managed. That's fine. Any middle manager type can do that.
How about this one? Don't trust a pastor who wears expensive clothes and watches.
Ooh. Yes. I can go for that. Now, unless the pastor is like a part-time pastor and he has a job doing other stuff. Yeah. And he just makes a lot of money doing the other stuff. Like if I decided to be a pastor, I might. I mean, I already look fly when I go to church, so you gotta adjust your expectations.
Yeah, here's the thing: it's more about what's their priority. On that.
Absolutely.
Most pastors in America, the vast majority, are bivocational.
Yes.
So the pastoring is either the part-time job or a volunteer job.
Yeah.
They work in order to do that.
And that main job isn't like a big highfalutin, like high power job usually.
Yeah. Maybe I'm too Puritan, but I kind of want my pastors to be full-time devoted to God, not just part-time.
I would love it. I would prefer it. Now, of course, because of the size of congregations, most of them can't afford a full-time pastor.
Right. Because
that's really the issue.
The average church size is about 60 people.
Yep.
Oh,
that's the average church size in this country is 60 people.
Yep. So it's just the mega churches that get all the other churches a bad name, basically.
Yeah, essentially. Some of the others, I don't get this one. Don't trust a wine sales rep who wears heavy cologne and perfume. So the argument being made is it messes up your ability to taste samples in sales meetings.
I was going to say that would be my assumption as well.
Yeah, because my understanding is the smell of the wine is almost as important as the actual taste on your tongue.
Yeah. Okay. Technologically advanced people here.
Okay.
There was one that said, don't trust an accountant who prefers Google Sheets to Excel.
Yeah, I think Google Sheets is the lesser Excel.
Okay.
So Excel has a lot of features in it, a lot of capabilities in it that if you're really good at it, if you really like numbers and good at numbers, you're preferring Excel over Google Sheets, I think.
Okay, there's one here for scientists.
Oh, okay.
Okay, tell me whether this is right or wrong.
Okay.
Don't trust the scientist who cannot or will not say, I don't know.
True.
Okay.
Absolutely true. Because look, there's a problem of scientists declaring their absolute knowledge of things. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'm looking at you, buddy.
That's right. Yeah. It says here, because a good scientist knows that they don't know.
That's
everything.
True.
That's the purpose of science
is to find out.
It is supposed to be the search for truth, not the declaration of my opinion as truth.
Yes. I mean, your sentences should start more often than not with, well, the current evidence says. That current and evidence are key.
Yes.
Listen up. The offer St. Louis can't stop talking about being held over by popular demand. Right now, renewal by Anderson. Buy any window or door, get the next one 50% off. Plus, you might get 0 interest, no payments for 18 months. This is Renewal by Anderson, the full-service window and door replacement division of Anderson. That's a name you've trusted more than 122 years. Our exclusive FiberX frames, 200% stronger than vinyl. And remember, Anderson products increase your home's value by at least 15%. So make sure you take advantage of the offer while it's still being held over. Schedule your complimentary consultation at rbastl.com. 877-WINDOWS. 877-WINDOWS. Renewal by Anderson. This is award-winning quality, stronger windows, smarter investment.
NewsTalkSTL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airwaves for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on NewsTalkSTL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Israeli forensics experts say that one of the bodies returned by Hamas yesterday, part of the ceasefire deal, is not that of one of the Gaza hostages.
The military now says the fourth body handed over to Israel by Hamas does not match any of the hostages. Meanwhile, relatives of some of the newly released Israeli hostages have been describing their joy of being reunited with their loved ones after 2 years of captivity in Gaza. Speaking at the Sheba Medical Center in Tel Aviv, where the freed hostages are receiving medical treatment, Liran Berman expresses his relief.
For 738 days, our lives were trapped between hope and fear. Yesterday, that chapter ended. Seeing Gali and Ziv again, holding them after so long, was like feeling the world start to move again.
I'm Charles Ledesma.
4 bodies were handed over by Hamas on Monday, 4 more yesterday, discounting the one that's not a hostage, 21 captives still unaccounted for. House Speaker Mike Johnson accusing Senate Democrats of being completely unreasonable in their demands for reopening the federal government.
They would add the illegal aliens, non-citizens back to taxpayer-funded benefits. It would cost taxpayers nearly $200 billion. They would also remove a very reasonable and modest work requirement that we put on able-bodied young men with no dependents. As we've said, they should not be riding the wagon and taking Medicaid that is intended for vulnerable populations.
Democrats have again blocked a Senate GOP bill to reopen the government at current spending levels, while talks would continue on longer-term funding measures. Armed with more precise drones, Russia has started using them to target Ukraine's vital rail network. Wall Street Dow futures up 225 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 241. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Maybe this is you too. People are enormously frustrated with the cost of healthcare right now. There is an option. Hundreds of thousands of people have gone with MediShare. They like it more, and they're saving a lot of money. Perfect time for you to join, too. Apply before October 31st, and they will waive your application fee. That's $100 you'll be saving right off the bat, in addition to the thousands you can save every year. Call them now. Here's the number, 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. MediShare is a community of Christians who've shared more than $9 billion in medical bills. It has worked beautifully for decades. And with so many people re-examining their options right now, seeing premiums going up and up, this is a great time to take advantage of this offer. Just tell them the promo code SHARE and save $100 before October 31st. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE, 844-41-BIBLE.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. This morning, temperatures back towards the lower 60s will rise into the mid-80s by the afternoon, partly cloudy. Then into Thursday and Friday, temperatures into the mid-80s, looking dry by Saturday, welcoming some chances of some showers and storms. A few of those could be isolated, strong to severe as we head off into Saturday. That'll clear by Sunday. On the back end of that, going to be tracking cooling temperatures. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Looking for family fun that's different? Rev up your weekend at AAA Motor Speedway in Owensville, Missouri. We're Missouri's second largest asphalt go-kart track, offering thrilling racing and safe family entertainment for all ages and skill levels. Experience the rush as you navigate every curve and straightaway. Private events available. Create memories that last a lifetime at AAA Motor Speedway. Thank you to all of our veterans for your military service. We salute you. Visit AAAMotorspeedway.com and experience the rush today.
Get ready for a spooktacular good time. The Greater Augusta Chamber of Commerce invites you to our annual Halloween open house at the Augusta Town Hall, corner of Walnut and Green Streets in downtown Augusta. Join us for a potluck featuring chili, soup, and snacks, plus warm, clean bathrooms for the little trick-or-treaters. We can't wait to see all those amazing costumes. Everyone's welcome. Learn more at AugustaChamber.org.
Mike Ferguson.
This is the kind of adventure I usually have to force upon us, and here it is, falling into our laps.
Gabe Phifer.
They're buying it.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up, St. Louis.
Watch a couple squats, son.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
Ooh, this has been a lively one today.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Even off air.
Yeah, it has been. All right. The sheriff is in jail.
The sheriff, say that again.
Yeah.
The sheriff is in jail.
Yeah.
Hey-o.
That's actually happening right now. So I'll give you some basic details. We spoke with KMOV's David Amalotti very early this morning, and so he had a lot of the facts that you don't generally get in in a quick TV report or anything like that. So he's going to fill us in on that right around 8:20 or so here. Also, killing resumes in abortion clinics in Missouri. I would say any day now. It's 8:05 right now. Could be any minute now.
It may have happened already.
St. Louis, in Columbia, and in Kansas City, possibly in Springfield as well. Charlie Kirk is honored at the White House. Let's go ahead and do one more news dump here.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news. The morning news dump.
And away we go here. All right. The sheriff, as we've been telling you this morning, is behind bars. A federal judge revokes the bond of St. Louis City Sheriff Alfred Montgomery and sends him to jail to await trial. KMOV's David Amalotti reports on why the judge made that decision.
The federal judge opting to revoke bond because he says there isn't a way to guarantee Montgomery does not violate bond again. In court Tuesday, it was revealed once placed on bond, the sheriff was combative and not transparent about how many guns he possessed, which he was required to turn over to pretrial services. The U.S. Attorney's Office says Montgomery also used a burner phone to make calls naming witnesses, as revealed in this excerpt from the September 5th recording, where Montgomery says, quote, "Witnesses gotta go. Witnesses definitely gotta go. I don't have to take this expletive. I'm the expletive sheriff. You work for the pleasure of me. I brought you in this expletive. I will move you out of this expletive."
Okay, so there is a lot more. The more details we get on this, the weirder, the more bizarre this becomes.
Yeah, it's really crazy. We've been watching this thing from the beginning and reporting on it, and we've had a lot of fun with the whole situation, Alfred loaded dice in Montgomery and all that. And yeah, every turn of it has been very bizarre, but we're now looking at a situation where the duly elected sheriff of a city, like a full-on city,
is it currently
the currently elected, duly elected sheriff of the city is behind bars. Yeah. He's not working in the jail. No. He is in jail.
Yeah, he was.
That's crazy.
He was turned over to the custody of U.S. Marshals. Mm-hmm. We don't know where he's being held, which is proper.
That's a safety measure
in order to protect a law enforcement officer. You don't throw him into Gen Pop. I mean, you don't throw them in the general population. And your cops don't do very well there.
No.
His lawyers say they are filing an appeal of that bond revocation. Again, David Amalotti from KMOV is going to have a lot more details for us on this in about 12 minutes. We caught up with him earlier today, so we'll have that information for you here.
That quote warrants you can't come fast enough.
Oh, no. And by the way, we don't know when his actual trial is going to be, so he could literally be sitting in jail on the payroll for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Okay. The suspect accused of setting fire to the Pennsylvania governor's mansion and trying to kill Governor Josh Shapiro and his family back in April pleads guilty to all of the charges. 36-year-old Cody Ballmer pleaded guilty in a Pennsylvania court on Tuesday to charges that include attempted murder, aggravated arson, burglary, terrorism, and other related offenses. Governor Shapiro met with the media on Tuesday talking about the rise in political violence across the country, and he says justice was served in this case.
I think we need real accountability for acts of political violence. And today is real accountability for the violence that came here to Pennsylvania.
Balmer admitted that he set the fire and tried to kill the governor and his family for Palestine.
Yeah. So we understand, what's going on there.
Yeah. So that's another, another just example of the violent political, this is where we are now. I mean, I don't even know how to label it anymore. It's just where we are right now.
I mean, I don't want to get too draconian, but I have a sinking suspicion if we brought back public executions for people like this, that might deter the rest of these weirdos. I think that's acceptable behavior.
Maybe caning too.
Yeah, some flogging.
Do the Singapore thing.
Yeah.
He
kill haul them.
It looks like he's going to do at least 25 years.
Right.
So he will likely live on the outside again, but it's going to be a long time before he ever gets out.
Maybe we should just provide the option. You could shave 5 years by taking a caning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And make it public.
Yeah. All right. President Trump honoring Charlie Kirk on Tuesday, posthumously awarding him the Presidential Medal of Freedom at the White House. Right after receiving the award on Charlie Kirk's behalf, his wife, Erica, thanked the president for the entire award.
We're gathered not only to celebrate Charlie's birthday, but to honor a truth that he gave his entire life to defend, and that's freedom.
And Charlie Kirk would have been 32 years old yesterday, which was obviously the date why that date was picked to award the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Yep.
Okay. They will not stop spending more money than they have. So some Illinois lawmakers are looking for new ways to tax you.
Of course.
This idea came up before and it was kind of quickly shot down, but now they're bringing it back. The assembly went back to work in Springfield on Tuesday. Some Democrats want to bring back an idea to add a statewide, I am emphasizing the word statewide for a reason, a statewide tax on all ride shares, Uber, Lyft, and on all deliveries, including food deliveries like DoorDash and Grubhub. Okay. The money then would be used to fund the Chicago Transit Authority and some other public transit systems in and around Chicago.
Right. So every delivery you get from Grubhub goes to making sure the trains run on time.
Right. In Chicago.
Okay.
It actually doesn't even, I would argue it doesn't even go to keep the trains running on time. It goes to pay the pensions of the public sector union workers who have helped get so many Democrats elected along the way. Chicago's Regional Transit Authority has a budget shortfall of about $200 million, according to CBS Chicago.
Yeah, ultimately, the entire government of Chicago is basically politicians paying union members with the money of its citizens so that the union members can pay for the campaigns of the politicians.
That's about it.
That's pretty much the entire cycle.
Yeah. And it's like, well, why is Illinois in such bad shape? That's why. All right. President Trump floating the idea that he might invoke the Insurrection Act to bypass legal hurdles in response to his military deployments of the National Guard in Chicago and in Portland. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi was asked about that on Fox's Hannity.
He absolutely has the right to do that, the legal authority to do that. We didn't have to do it in Los Angeles. They came in, they cleaned up the riots. You saw, look how much better LA is.
Okay. And of course, obviously, there's multiple legal battles going on around the country with the president saying, and then you look at Memphis, where the governor asked for that help. And that deployment is actually working as it's supposed to because there's cooperation.
Right.
In a large part. Yeah. All right. More stuff is about to become more expensive. Hey, Gabe, did you know this?
Oh, yeah, I know it.
There's another batch of goods now being affected by import taxes.
New tariffs on imported kitchen cabinets, bathroom vanities, and upholstered furniture are now in effect. The Trump administration says the aim is to boost domestic production and to protect American companies. These latest tariffs are prompting concerns among some small business owners who worry that higher-priced cabinets will lead potential customers to delay renovations. Greg Clugston, Washington.
So in other words, if it's already in their warehouses, it's already on the shelves, it's not affected.
Right.
But they order the exact same thing to fill up their inventory, it's going to be more expensive.
Yes, and that's pushing my timeline a little forward, I think, on my kitchen reno, trying to make sure that I get the cabinets that are already in the factory because, those tariffs aren't just affecting full-on cabinets.
Right.
They're affecting the base materials that American cabinet makers use to build the cabinets. I think the ones I've ordered are from an American company. I think most of the ones you'll find at like Home Depot are American companies that assemble these things and deliver them, but they're buying some of their materials from overseas, and that's going to have a big impact.
Because you're wanting to redo your...
I'm trying to redo my kitchen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to increase the value of my home, and yeah, now that's going to cost me a little more.
And so that's the thing. And that's the point I've been trying to make for quite a while now is, listen, you can talk about, well, it's going to protect this American company over this. First of all, it's not government's job to pick winners and losers at all. But even you buy into that, understand that you're doing it at the expense of the consumers. You're doing it at the expense of Gabe, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, come on. but seriously, I think the fact that American companies use foreign goods to build their things means that you're not necessarily even helping the American company. Now,
yeah, to some degree.
Somebody's gonna say, well, the American company should find an American supplier for their base products then as well. Well, again, that
it's more expensive.
It's more expensive. The cost of my cabinets is going up.
Yeah, this is not the free market.
No.
This is not. Just saying. All right. Blues are back on home ice tonight. They host the Blackhawks with the puck drop at 8:30 because late game, because this is TNT's national late game. Blues are 2-1-0 on the season. Dodgers take a 2-game lead in the National League Championship Series. They beat the Brewers in Milwaukee again. This time score was 5-1. American League Series resumes tonight. Blue Jays are in Seattle to play the Mariners in Game 3 of that series. Toronto is up 2-0. First pitch is at 7:08, and that one's on FS1.
Cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
He picked the wrong schoolyard to come into, I have to tell you this.
On News Talk STL.
This is Elizabeth Kaiser. If you're a self-insured employer with a minimum of 200 plan members, listen up, because we've only got until December 31st. There's $600 billion on the table for you from a historic settlement agreement. Meet Bill Schmaltz.
Thank you, Elizabeth. The program's called Pharmaceutical Industry Overcharging Recovery Program. The money is available. It's already been litigated. You just need to ask for it. I'm going to help you get that money, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples. 200 members on the plan, $840K, 500 members, $2.1 million, 4.2 million with 1,000, and it keeps going up. You can contact me at bill@ecgins.com. The more people you have on your plan, the more recovery money you're entitled to. The money's there. There's nothing you have to do other than fill out paperwork, contact me, bill@ecgins.com, and we'll help you get that. bill@ecgins.com.
That's bill@ecgins.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey, it's Jamie Allman here for The Barn in beautiful Columbia, Illinois, offering a unique experience with an upscale feel that's sure to make your visit unforgettable. More than 100 different bourbons, 30 vodkas, plus an expansive outdoor patio, upstairs banquet facility, seating up to 50. You can reserve that. Call for rates. Live music every Friday and Saturday. Last Queen Standing and Extreme Bar Bingo every Thursday, plus Tequila Tuesdays. I'm heading over there right now. The Barn, right there in gorgeous Columbia, Illinois.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
I'll say it again, guys. The sheriff done found himself in jail.
For real.
He's in jail right now. So how do we get to this point? What's next? The more we get into this, the weirder it gets, Gabe.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we started off just having fun with it, and now it's I think it's serious.
It really
I mean,
is.
it's certainly serious for him.
Oh man, is it ever. All right, so about a couple hours ago, we talked to David Amalotti, who is all over this for KMOV, our news partners, and I wanted to dig into, because he was there, he was in the courtroom, he's been covering it, he's at the press conferences, and he gave us the update on the entire situation. Here's what David had to say. When you look at just the facts of the case, and I've been in the media business for, going on 30 years or so now, I don't know that I've ever covered a story with this many twists and turns and drama and just all sorts of things that are so unusual. We knew this was a possibility. The bond could be revoked. This was not his trial. He wasn't declared guilty. But what were some of the factors that the federal judge in the case used to say, I'm going to take the unusual step of putting the sitting sheriff into custody?
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on. It is bizarre. You mentioned the twists and turns, and the fact of the matter is we're just 10 months into the sheriff's term as sheriff of the city of St. Louis. The judge made it pretty clear that he could not find a condition yesterday in court that would guarantee that Alfred Montgomery would not violate, again, the terms of his bond. There were things revealed in court that caught our attention. The first being the prosecution pointing to a third phone, a burner phone that Sheriff Alfred Montgomery had acquired after he was originally placed on bond. Remember, there's an original indictment from earlier this summer where he received a misdemeanor charge in federal court involving the alleged authorization of the handcuffing of Jail Commissioner Tamir Ross. There was a sexual misconduct investigation earlier this year. And so that was a misdemeanor. That was the foundation of the federal indictment. This recent superseding indictment of 5 charges, witness tampering, witness retaliation, this is post all of that. And so it was revealed that there was this phone that was acquired, the sheriff used to talk about witnesses. They brought the pretrial services officer to the stand. The prosecution questioned them. They revealed that the sheriff was combative when originally placed on bond. They are required to take any firearms an individual has when placed on bond. He said he might have 6. It was revealed he had 14 firearms in his home. It was said that they were legally possessed, but there was that discrepancy on how many they would have. 2 assault rifles were included in that list of 14 firearms in court. And it was these multiple attempts of not following the direction of the federal judge while on bond that ultimately resulted in the U.S. Attorney's Office getting its wish that bond be revoked. And now you have Alfred Montgomery held in jail indefinitely until we have a hearing date on the calendar.
Yeah, because there's no trial date scheduled as of this point. So it's possible that the sheriff could be in jail for quite a while.
Thank you. And that's important to make clear. There's no trial date set. So the defense team, which you have Justin Gelfand, you have a former judge, a retired judge, now attorney David Mason, making part of the sheriff's legal team. They vowed to file an appeal as soon as possible with the district judge. They were very confident that could be heard in the very near future. As of this moment, when I'm talking to you at 6:22 in the morning, we don't have that confirmed yet, whether or not a district judge has seen that appeal, if that appeal has been submitted yet. But those are things that we would anticipate happening in the next day, 48 hours.
Okay, just to drill down one clear, we're talking about, in this case, the appeal of the revocation, not necessarily the whole charges, just of the decision to put him.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Correct.
Okay, we're visiting with David Amalotti from KMOV. Okay, so let's talk about what's next. Now, we have an interim sheriff who was appointed. Who appointed him? And I know that the former sheriff, Vernon Betts, has expressed on KMOV, and another one of your stories has expressed doubts about him as well. So do we even know who's actually in charge?
Well, what we do know is from my conversation with David Mason yesterday, moments outside the courthouse, moments after Alfred Montgomery is let out of the courtroom by U.S. Marshals. And he is saying that it is Yosef Yasharallah who is leading this sheriff's office in the interim. He's the number 2. He's the colonel. He wears the white shirt. He has been seen at several hearings. If you follow my reporting over the last couple of months, he has spoken before Board of Aldermen on various issues, mainly budgetary issues, and this ongoing issue of whether or not the sheriff's office is responsible for the transport of inmates for medical care. So he has been somewhat visible, not as visible as the sheriff, but I'm told he's the number 2. Okay. And David Mason points to Yosef having roughly 30 years of experience. I mean, David Mason in my reporting on camera even says that Yosef served as Mason's bailiff. I think he said 7 or 8 years. So there's a prior relationship there. I do want to point out in court yesterday in federal court, the prosecution, when having pretrial services on the stand, it was revealed that allegedly Yosef and Montgomery are close friends. Mason disputes that. But in court, it was revealed there's a relationship there. In fact, it was revealed that the individual that Alfred Montgomery turned his firearms over to was Yosef Yasharallah. And then I think it's also important to point out that Yosef is also on this 3-person committee, along with David Mason, that's at the center of some of these more recent federal felony charges. They sit on this employee advisory committee that makes employment decisions. David Mason says that's a very legitimate structure as far as keeping the sheriff separate from some of those employee decisions. But there are optics that you have the sheriff's friend and then you have the sheriff's attorney on that committee. Anyways, that is also being discussed in court. But that's right now, that's what I know of Yosef Yasharallah. And then, of course, as you referenced, our reporting last night at 10 o'clock where Vernon was vocal about his relationship.
Okay, so has the defense or the sheriff himself responded to the calls from the mayor, the president of the Board of Aldermen, and some other elected officials calling on him to resign? We know he hasn't resigned. Frankly, personally, I'll be surprised if he does. But have they responded to those public calls?
I have not seen a moment where the sheriff has directly responded to these calls for resignation in the last 24 hours. I can tell you in the past, he said he wouldn't resign. I can tell you that David Mason has said that his client will not resign. And even if you look at the way the statement was released yesterday about Yosef Yasharallah becoming the interim sheriff, the language there in the post from Alfred Montgomery's account is that the sheriff's office remains fully operational. Alfred Montgomery remains the duly elected sheriff. And Yosef Yasharallah, Colonel Yosef Yasharallah, has been designated to serve as interim sheriff until further notice. And my assumption would be that until further notice is when we have a hearing in place, where we have a trial date in place. So it sounds like it's Yosef's gig until the courts put a date on the calendar.
And this is all a separate case from the quo warranto from the Attorney General's office as well. So there are multiple fronts on this.
There are, and it's interesting to see how the two are connected. They are separate cases. You have one at the state, one at the federal level. The defense yesterday making it pretty clear that they disagreed, while respecting the court's decision, they disagreed about putting Sheriff Montgomery behind bars. They referenced Judge Stephen Omer in the Quo case, saying that it's within his right to decide if the sheriff should be removed or not, that the steps taken in the federal court may somehow disrespect the power that the state's Supreme Court, the authority given to Stephen Omer to make rulings. But we heard from Attorney General Catherine Hanaway shortly after the news was released. And she basically said it's impossible to do the job from behind bars. And then also echoing the calls for resignation, like we heard from Mayor Kara Spencer, like we heard from Board of Aldermen President Megan Green. I think that the actual language the mayor was calling the whole thing absurd.
Yeah.
So those voices, in unison, saying that something needs to change.
Oh, we're back. Look, the shutdown continues. Let's get into why Democrats are blocking government from reopening. How expensive is their wish list? We'll parse the facts about that at 8:35.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. This morning, temperatures back towards the lower 60s will rise into the mid-80s by the afternoon, partly cloudy. Then into Thursday and Friday, temperatures into the mid-80s, looking dry by Saturday, welcoming some chances of some showers and storms. A few of those could be isolated, strong to severe as we head off into Saturday. That'll clear by Sunday. On the back end of that, going to be tracking cooling temperatures. From the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Fox News commentary with Jimmy Fallon next.
If your cash is sitting in a savings account, it's at risk. Old school advice says save more, but today the strategy is broken. When inflation spikes, they print money or cut rates, your dollar shrinks. So do your savings. The solution? Own something real. Physical gold and silver. When the dollar drops, gold and silver prices rise. And with Noble Gold, owning gold is simple. Just visit noblegoldinvestments.com and chat with a specialist. The knowledge is free. The protection is priceless. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions.
Here's Jimmy Fallon.
The reason Trump and Vance are winning is they're prioritizing deliverables. I talked to you about this over the course of 4 years of the Biden administration and the entirety of the last election. Deliverables means, hey, if you vote for me, this will happen. We'll end this war. We'll close that border. We'll lower these taxes. We'll bring down those grocery prices. That's a deliverable. The Democrats ran in 2020 on this is a battle for the soul of our nation. And if you remember me being on the radio then, I was like, what does that mean? Like, if you win the battle for the soul of the nation, do the electric prices go down? Is the gas cheaper? No, the answer was no, never. Biden spiked groceries to a 30% hike. Inflation hit a 40-year high. Your gas prices doubled. And oh yeah, they opened up the border and let in 21 million people illegally into this country.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the Great Window World. Just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing, with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Johnny Tobacco, host of The Wise Guys on Newsmax.
Jerome Powell to me today sounded like a man with a big load of turd in his pants because that statement today looked like a hostage video. It looked like he didn't want to say he might change policy, but he knew he had to because the market is looking at him with some really evil eyes.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4
on News Talk STL.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Tim Jones here. You're obviously a smart person because you're listening to Mike, Gabe, producer Jerome, and the gang at Mike Ferguson in the morning. Don't forget to stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
All right. When it comes to the government shutdown, let's talk about what we're talking about. You know, what the Democrats are demanding be not just funded, but in some cases even expanded when it comes to the spending on this. And this all goes back over a decade to Obamacare. And so to some degree, you've got just a difference of the size scope of government. You've also got the politics of the moment, but you've also got the chickens coming home to roost after Obamacare was passed all those years ago. All right. I'm Mike Ferguson. That is producer Jerome. We're now joined by Jeremy Nighohossian from the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Interesting op-ed here. So on the surface, Jeremy, this would sound like this is really wonky, dry stuff, but really we're talking about a lot of things interwoven into one. Your article, The Problem with Obamacare is Obamacare. So let's break down, get past just the partisan finger pointing, what the Democrats are holding out for. They say it's just those tax credits, but what we're really talking about are subsidies to prop up a system that we've been dealing with for a long time.
Yeah, I think that's right. So in the op-ed, I was talking about one of the main arguments going on today is to extend the subsidy expansion that happened during COVID. So during COVID, the Democrats passed an expansion of the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, and it increased the subsidies for the people who were already receiving the subsidies, but it also extended the subsidies to a group of people who weren't receiving them before. And in the op-ed, I was talking about how one of the reasons, a big reason, that this other group wasn't receiving these subsidies before was because they were earning higher incomes. And back then, the way the subsidies worked was they probably wouldn't get much of a subsidy anyway, because the premiums were so low that the government, through their calculations, wouldn't have to be paying out very high amounts to these people just by virtue of how everything was working out. But in the interim, in the 15 years since Obamacare was written, premiums have gone up so fast, I mean, more than 3 times as fast as general inflation, that this group of people who are making 4 times the poverty level, now all of a sudden their premiums are high enough that they would get subsidies. And so one of the things that Democrats want to do is they want to expand the original deal with Obamacare so that subsidies are given to these people now, and because they need them more than they needed them when the bill was passed, contrary to the promise that Obamacare was going to bend the cost curve downward and fix the cost problem in healthcare.
Okay, so what does that subsidy look like? I mean, what does the taxpayer money going out look like? Is that a check to the insurer? Is that a check to the, I mean, people are saying, well, wait a minute, where does that come from? Because we're not talking about basically, just comping a service. We're talking about checks being written from the Treasury that's collected from us taxpayers and going to somebody. Where does that go?
That goes to insurance companies. So it kind of works like a voucher. So it is given via enrollees in Obamacare. It is given indirectly. It passes through them and goes directly to the insurance company to pay for their insurance.
So are we talking about essentially Obamacare on life support, or are we talking about the Democrats trying to preserve a system that has failed, or are we just talking about a moment in time with an economy that's shaky?
I think when this was passed in 2021, I think you could make the argument that it was an economy that was shaky, that it made sense to increase the subsidies and make sure that everyone was covered during the pandemic. But since then, it's been 4 years since 2021, and I think by all accounts, the pandemic is over. And when the Democrats passed it, they made those extended subsidies temporary. They had them expire at the end of 2025 because the argument was that they were temporary. They were only needed for that moment in time. And so they could expire in 2025. And here we are in 2025, and they want to extend it. But now they're using the argument that these are needed because premiums have become so high that people can't afford it. And I think part of the reason that premiums have gone as high as they have is because of the inner workings of the Affordable Care Act that has made things so expensive and has put in all these different regulations and restrictions to make these insurance plans charge higher and higher premiums, where they weren't charging as high back when the law was written.
We're visiting with Jeremy Nighohossian from the Competitive Enterprise Institute. So in one sense, are the Democrats like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and some, are they correct in that if these subsidies are not renewed, that the prices and the cost will go up for Americans? And then we can get into, well, yeah, because your system's broken, but on the immediate effect, is that true? And then what I'm going to do is ask you about, well, is that evidence that we need to change the system?
Well, yeah, I think that's right. If you're, sending checks to people to afford things will make it more affordable in the short term. It's a short-term fix to patch a problem, but I think you're also right in the bigger point that it's adding to the problem. It's making the problem worse. It isn't fixing affordability in the long term. It's not fixing it structurally. It's creating the problem that they're going to fix, and then in 10 years we're going to need to expand the subsidies again because the underlying problem hasn't been addressed.
And the other end, the back end of this, then, Jeremy, is that somebody's got to pay for that, and that is all of us being taxed for it. So essentially, we're really talking about massive pool of people paying a certain number of people's subsidies for their health care. By definition, that is a socialist medical system, is it not?
If healthcare becomes comes to the point where all of healthcare is the single payer system that we hear so much about, where the government is directing insurance, they're running the hospitals, and that's the path to socialism.
Okay, so what do we do about it? I mean, what's the way to, one, is there a way for government policy to bring costs down? And is it a matter of we need to tinker within the Obamacare system to fix it if it's broken? Or do we need to go back to something more free market? Or what's the best way to make healthcare more affordable for more people? Because in the end, that is the goal that we all say we have.
You're right. It's a tough problem. My own suggestion is to definitely look at some of these restrictions that are put on these insurance companies that are making it harder for them to compete, and look back at how the insurance companies were able to offer plans 15 years ago that were a lot more affordable today. And part of the issue here is a lot of the requirements that Obamacare is putting on these insurance plans that are requiring them to cover things that maybe not a lot of people want or aren't effective. And so that increases the cost for everyone. And I think there's also this problem of a bad risk pool, where as the plans get structured in certain ways, then young people may not want to join it, and that weights these plans towards maybe older, sicker people, and that raises the costs. And so there are a lot of regulations that could be looked at to try to address this, but just throwing good money after bad doesn't seem to be a long-term solution here.
Yeah, I remember when this debate was happening before it was actually passed, and the now infamous "this is what change looks like" comment from then President Obama. And I remember one of the things that was being debated was part of Obamacare not allowing insurance coverage to designate higher risk or better risk. So in other words, you could get a lower premium if you lived a healthier lifestyle. Everybody had to pay more and essentially the same into the system. Did that end up affecting these prices as well?
Well, that's definitely a part of the issue there. Yeah. And interestingly, right now there's a regulation that requires insurance companies can only charge X amount more depending on age, but it's important to realize that if that restriction were removed, it wouldn't necessarily lead to higher prices, net costs for these seniors who are enrolled, because the subsidies are also designed in a way that would make up the difference there. And what might actually happen is it just improves the risk pool and brings in a lot more younger, healthier people.
Okay, so this is not even so much of an ideological question. I'm talking about a free market and just delivering the product to the base, to the customers kind of question. What, if any, is the right role of government in a perfect world, or more perfect union here that would allow this to be delivered? Because what we're hearing from one side is, if it weren't for government, nobody gets healthcare. Everybody should go through government. Then you've got the free marketeers, frankly, people like me, a little bit more to say, let the market sort it out. Some people win, some people lose. But if you're looking at an actual solution to deliver it, what's the right level of government involvement, if any?
Well, my starting point is always to argue that one of the best roles of government is to provide information for consumers. And I think that also helps explain or defend the use of the exchanges, and just having a system by which consumers can go online, compare products to each other, and choose what works for them is a pretty pro-consumer, pro-free market solution. The problem is that tied into those exchanges is a lot of regulations and restrictions on those insurance companies. So that's actually anti-consumer too. It removes choices and doesn't let the ultimate decisions of Americans decide what products they want and buy them.
Okay, so I got a minute or so left here, Jeremy. So then what do we do with this information? Because right now it just seems to a lot of people that the government is debating what we're going to be allowed to have access to have, whether it's good or bad, because the system is broken. I mean, there are people like me who've been arguing since before day one, this is a terrible idea. Now we're seeing that. But what do we do with the information? Is there anything we can do to help protect and provide our families access to this? Or do we just have to wait until the politicians decide and finally figure out what the marketplace is going to look like?
Well, I think one of the best things to do is vote with your own pocketbook and make sure the options that you want on the table are on the table, and talk to your own congressman and say, ask why some of these problems aren't solved. Why are costs so high? Why can't we have plans that are available to others or have been available in the past? That's what I recommend.
All right. And we follow your work, how, and people want to get in touch. Maybe they've got questions. What's the way to get in touch?
So I am at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. It is at cei.org. You can go there and find me and find my email address.
All right, Jeremy, thanks so much. Appreciate it, because this is real dry, real wonky. But here's the thing: is it affects our lives in such a big way.
Oh, thanks a lot. Have a great day.
All right, 314-912-1019. I'm going to do something a little bit different here in just a couple minutes, Jerome.
Oh,
yeah, I'm actually going to give somebody on The View credit for something that she said.
What?
Yes. But at the same time, I'm going to call her out for not fulfilling her promise.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Yes.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
JC's Wayback Machine.
You know that emergency broadcast system thing? This is only a test, and then the goofy sounding tone. You know that system did not go off on 9/11? What happened? Also, my day with Regis and Kelly, and 3 separate incidents involving St. Louis area police trying to arrest me, plus great tunes from the 90s, 80s, and 70s. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9, News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman here with the Allman Report. Pleased to be with Jordan Rosenblum. Google the bagel loan. That's what it's all about. Jordan, tell me about purchasing a home, brother.
Purchasing a home right now, it's a tough market. You're going to see a lot of competition. On the bagel loan that we have, you're going to have no closing costs, no title fees, no appraisal fees, no lender fees. Saves an average client almost $4,000 on a transaction. Customer service, unbelievable. Text, call anytime.
As I know, as a real estate agent, Google the bagel loan. Google the bagel loan, folks.
NMLS number 226715.
I remember my son was going to grow up without a father.
I didn't think someone at 23 could be diagnosed with breast cancer.
I was probably the healthiest I had been in my life.
Early detection of a melanoma saved my life.
I survived testicular cancer because of early detection.
I survived cancer not once, but twice because of early detection.
Hi, I'm Congressman Bob Onder. Early detection equals better outcomes. Learn what routine cancer screenings you need and book your doctor's appointment today.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
On the next, Larry Connors, USA.
My guest today, Fred Fleitz, an expert on the Middle East. his view of what happens next in Gaza.
Larry Connors, USA.
Now, weeknights 6 until 8
on News Talk STL.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I just love it when when the leftist media types back themselves into a corner and then predictably just go, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going back almost a year now. So December of 2024, all of the hens are cackling on The View. Okay. And Alyssa Farah is one of the View cacklers. And they were talking about the situation with the war in between Israel and Hamas and the hostages. And Alyssa Farah actually said this as part of the conversation.
My point when I say I'm not going to be apocalyptic, it's not changing a tune. It's not making every single thing a 5-alarm fire. Yeah. If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you for doing it. Yeah. She'll knock it right off my head. But like, you have to be able to cheer for wins when they happen and then call out relentlessly the wrongdoing. Well,
okay. Just in case you missed it, I want to reemphasize.
If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say,
okay.
And so she totally did that, right?
Yes, that was in December of 2024. So obviously, as we know, President Trump brokered the deal that got the hostages out. And so now everybody's saying, where's the show with the MAGA hat? Everybody wants the screenshots and the memes with somebody on The View wearing the MAGA hat on this. She's not doing it. And she's not answering. She's getting called out by everybody and she's not doing it.
Now, what would be absolutely amazing is if somebody from the White House team that does their memes puts a sombrero and a little mustache on there and say, we'll remove it if you put the hat on.
One of the, I don't remember if it was Eric or Donald Trump Jr. was on one of the national shows. I mean, like really trolling her. It was really, really funny. Now, to be fair, though, I want to be fair, is that she did give credit where credit is due on this. So here was Alyssa Farah earlier this week talking about, I mean, obviously following up to the deal that was brokered in the Middle East.
I think everyone should be able to celebrate it. And listen, whether you like Trump or not, I think Steve Witkoff and I think Jared Kushner do deserve credit for this deal. They actually personally met with Hamas. I used to be of the mind we don't negotiate with terrorists, but sometimes the only way to get peace is to sit down with some of the most evil people and try to come up with what we can do to end the bloodshed. So thank God, I pray that this peace holds.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to disagree with is I still am of the mindset that you don't negotiate with terrorists because that legitimizes them. But other than that, you give credit where credit's due. You know that did not go over well on The View because there was not a single clap. There was not a single, Whoopi Goldberg wasn't going, oh, you're right. We got to give. That's not generally how they think or behave. Because yes, I watch clips of The View, so you don't have to.
Thank you.
And when she was saying earlier is you celebrate the wins, even when you don't like the person. Well, that's true. And that's like the one thing she got right.
Yeah. Now I'm still disappointed that, if you make a verbal contract like that, then you need to honor it. But that's the thing that I think is very infuriating about people like this, or groups like The View and opinionated people like that, is that the level of arrogant ignorance to drastically undermine and underestimate in the face of all available evidence the capability of somebody, because President Trump has been very vocally about trying to get these peace deals, and in a lot of other nations that didn't really make the headlines to this degree, he has brokered a lot of peace deals between conflicting nations. So to sit there and to think, well, of course I'm always right about everything, to do something like that and not honor, I mean, you would gain so much more respect if you just put the darn head on.
Here's the funny part is here's what she should do. She's not going to do this, but what she should do, knowing that doing this is going to result in a million memes on social media, is just say, you know what? It's all over social media. I said I was going to wear a MAGA hat. I'm not wearing it for the whole show. I don't even know how long the view is, hour, 2 hours, whatever. I think it's an hour.
Too long.
Yeah, too long, whatever it is. Just say, all right, here you go, you MAGA crazy Republican, conservative, right wing, whatever. I'm putting the hat on. Get your screenshots, get your pictures, put it on, make a face, and then say you got 15 seconds, and then okay, I did it. And you know what? That'd be fine. And I think I think everybody would get what they wanted, and then she would be infamous on the internet, which is giving her more attention than she's got now.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me. There's a economic person. I can't remember the show he does, but its name's like something Kramer, and he's notorious.
Oh,
for,
yeah. On I know you're talking.
Yeah,
about.
and he's notorious for consistently making bad predictions and being wrong about things.
Yes, he is.
But he said a couple of years ago, he said, "I will eat crow if the stock does not rise," and then he literally got a fake crow and did it on camera. And it's like, see, even though I still think that you don't deserve a show for what you do based on your economic analysis being consistently wrong, at the very least, you're able to have that level of self-awareness. And I think that's the frustration. It's not just making these claims of like, oh, well, if you can do it, I'll put a hat. It's the inability to get over your own self, to engage at your own expense in this kind of humor.
You said it, follow through. You know what? You live in the public eye. That's how it goes. It can be funny stuff. Like, for instance, there were years ago, there was, I forget which major league team it was. I think it was the Baltimore Orioles, that they were behind, or they were ahead by, a huge amount. And the announcer said, if we lose this game, I'll walk back home. Well, they ended up losing the game. And so he didn't walk back home from that game. But what he ended up doing was recreating the walk and raised a bunch of money for charity and stuff like that, because he said it, And so, first of all, always be careful when you say, if this happens, then because it could happen. We've got that. We call that the broadcaster's jinx sometimes.
Don't write checks that you can't cash.
That's right. And this would be so easy to do it. That's the funny part on this.
Yep. Now we have our good friend Dave, who sometimes likes us, sometimes doesn't. So hopefully he likes us this time.
All right, Dave.
I always love you guys. I just don't always agree, but that's the beauty of our side. We can agree to disagree.
Love it.
Hey, I hear there's an opening in the city of St. Louis Sheriff's Department.
Yes.
Real quick, I'm actually shocked that the morons down there haven't convened to come up with some kind of clause in there that, like if you're arrested and you can't affect your duties, that they can remove you for cause.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say, guys.
I get it, Dave. Thanks so much. Yeah. And that's that's the thing that it seems to be. And again, David Amilati over at Channel 4 is doing a really good job covering this. He and actually a couple other reporters. Is there some confusion on what happens right now? Because Alfred Montgomery is still the sheriff, but he is obviously incapacitated and in jail, so he can't make day-to-day operations. So the number 2 guy is now the interim mayor interim sheriff or acting sheriff, if you will, on the assumption that if Loaded Dice gets out of jail, that he resumes his job. But the thing is, if the courts don't remove him from office, then who picks the replacement? Normally, you would say if a sheriff retires, dies, gets elected to another office, whatever the case is before the election, generally speaking around the state, the governor appoints somebody. But St. Louis City has a different charter and a different standing. So does the mayor do it? Does the board of aldermen do it? Do you rush to another election? We're not really sure right now. And that's why everybody's going to have to figure out, well, what happens next? Vernon Betts, the former sheriff, says, I'll come back and be the interim. The other people are being suggested, former St. Louis City police chief, that sort of thing. I don't know what they're going to do, because right now it's kind of ambiguous as to who gets to make that decision. And so that's going to be part of what they got to figure out.
This December 13th, join Wreaths Across America at Belle Reve Gardens Cemetery as we remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and